Well, everyone, it's been quite a day. I have to fix my hair. Oh my goodness, I didn't even fix my hair before getting on. It's been a day, especially if your name is Justin Trudeau. It's been a bit of an odd day. I didn't expect this at all, even though I made a prediction like 2 days ago in a video about what I described as the Cold War between Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau. I said that like, oh, Chrystia Freeland's gonna last like 3 months, and then she's gonna be out as the finance minister. Apparently, I was way too optimistic about Chrystia Freeland's chances. Even when I said 3 months, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, there's a chance she could maybe go the distance and still be there in October. Nah, no, not even 48 hours later, Chrystia Freeland is gone. Yeah, it's bad. Jessica Van Lugik here is asking me, going live for the by-election? Honestly, no. I'm going live for just the sheer chaos of what's going on with Justin Trudeau right now. Frankly, the by-election is just a side benefit of being able to talk about Justin Trudeau getting absolutely stomped on the same night that his leadership apparently starts unraveling. Yeah, Karen by the Rideau says you said you would give a day's notice. Where's Daniel? Well, Trudeau didn't give me a day's notice that his government was going to start falling apart, so I had to make a move. I had to make big plays today and try and figure out what to do despite all of the chaos. Yeah. Ray says, greetings from rural Nova Scotia. I'm not a lefty. Well, Nova Scotia is pretty conservative. It is a PC province in terms of like the party. I'm not the biggest fan of Andrew Fleury because he is kind of a bit of a Maritimes conservative. Like Blaine Higgs was a very non-Maritimes conservative. Blaine Higgs would have blended in very well in Alberta or Saskatchewan. Andrew Fleury is much more of the type of person, or is it Fleury or is it no, Tim Houston? Tim Houston is much more of the guy who is like a high-spending conservative who's kind of socially conservative, but not really, and he's more of a Doug Ford conservative, where Blaine Higgs was like a Ralph Klein, Scott Moe, Brad Wall kind of a guy. Yeah, you're actually right about that, Corey Starkiller. That's also why Daniel Boardman is not here right now. He is on, what is his name? I've been on his show, Kushel's. He's on Kushel's show right now, also talking about Justin Trudeau potentially resigning. Mike Schnell says Jagmeet needs to vote non-confidence and get this show on the road. Well, Mike, I think you have way too much confidence in Jagmeet Singh to be competent. If the NDP was actually looking out for its own survival, it would vote no confidence. Oh, but the Conservatives are going to win the next election. Like, I'm a Conservative. Obviously, I want the Conservatives to win. But, like, from the NDP's perspective, who cares if Justin Trudeau's government falls apart and gets replaced by a Conservative majority? You guys are bankrupt. Nobody even knows what the NDP does anymore. And so if you collapse Justin Trudeau's government, you would actually look like you had a purpose in existing. You would look like there was a significant disagreement. Every day that Jagmeet Singh and the NDP keeps Trudeau's Liberal government alive, they are basically confirming the idea that the NDP and the Liberals are no different. But yeah. Jessica says, looks like we'll have an election at the end of February. I really don't think so. I know Singh gets his pension in April, but the problem with that is, honestly, I don't think he's as motivated by his pension as he's motivated by the publicity of being a party leader. And as soon as the election happens, he's going to be out as a leader because I don't think anyone gets to lose 3 elections in a row. Or not even win. I know the NDP can't technically win in the state it's in, but you can't underperform as the NDP leader 3 years in a row, 3 elections in a row, and it's okay. Just keep going on. But yeah. Prairie Strong says, so it's okay to get Disney Plus again? Yes. Chrystia Freeland is gone, and she's not going to bust into your house and start shaming you for the extra $10 you're spending per month on Disney Plus. Maybe that's what she's going to go do now that she has a lot more free time on her hands, catch up with all the Disney Plus shows that she swore off during our financial crisis. Yeah. Yeah. Itty Bitty Kitty Club says Trudeau says at a fundraiser he's not going anywhere. And I'm honestly not shocked that he's not going anywhere. I honestly think Trudeau likes having his back up against the wall. Because in the last 3 months, there was all these rumors that Trudeau might get flipped by his own party caucus, and that people want him to step down. And I think Trudeau finds that more depressing. I think he's the type of guy who likes the fight. He's incompetent. He's bad at his job, but the man does like to fight. And I think that he finds this to be like his element more than the kind of more slow bureaucratic party governance that has been going on in the last 3 months, just trying to keep him afloat. Dana Kunston says, do you think Jagmeet will flip? No, I just don't. I don't think so. I think Jagmeet has proven he's just bad at this. Like, his statement today was like, I think Justin Trudeau should resign. It's like, you could force him to, and he's like, that's a good point, but I'm not going to consider that because that would be smart. Ramen Noodle Packet says, yeah, that's why I call them the No Damn Plan Party. Kenny Peroni says, do you still see the election happening in October after what happened today? I think I think that the election almost guaranteed to happen in October now, because it's either Trudeau hangs on till October or Trudeau resigns, in which there's going to be a liberal leadership for a few months, and the new leader is going to want as big a big a piece of, like, he's going to want as much time to have a running start at the next election rather than immediately having to go into the next election like Kim Campbell had to back in 1993. Uh, Alberta Cowgirl says, today Jagmeet told CTV News CTV that he is looking forward to being the government in 2025. I had a good laugh. Yeah, Jagmeet Singh is easily the most pathetic leader of any party I've seen in the last long time in both Canada, the US, as well as the UK. He has every opportunity to succeed and just chooses not to, because that could be stressful. He doesn't want to talk about anything stressful. Uh, Jessica, any fun videos, interviews coming up? Not planned firmly at the moment, although I guarantee I'm making a video tomorrow on the by-election that's happening right now in Cloverdale, Langley City. The polls out there should be closing in about an hour or so here, because it's 8 p.m. or almost 8 p.m. in Alberta, and I assume the by-election polls will be open until 8. Trudeau's Liberals are going to get stomped. It's going to be the cherry on top of the crisis that Justin Trudeau is currently in, that he is going to have like a 26% loss in Cloverdale, Langley City, a riding that the Liberals won back in 2021, to go with his complete leadership collapse in the face of Chyrstia Freeland resigning. And the funny thing with the Chyrstia Freeland resigning thing is that he didn't, like, he obviously knew this was a possibility. That's why Chyrstia Freeland said in her letter that he offered her other cabinet roles, because the idea was he thought that if he didn't bribe Chyrstia Freeland with a nonsense cabinet role to satiate her after she was kicked out of the finance minister role, that she was going to rebel on him. But he should realize that she already knows that it looks really pathetic to take the downgrade. So there was always going to be the possibility that Chyrstia Freeland was just going to say, pack sand, I'm going to go just sit in the back of Caucus and wait for you to, like, basically be ousted. And that's a strong possibility. I don't know if Chyrstia Freeland would challenge him for the leadership, because I guess this was her best moment to try, because she is a utterly uncharismatic, uncompelling figure. I think Sean Fraser probably left to go back to Nova Scotia to try and run for the Liberal leadership, because obviously that party's barely alive, and it would give Sean Fraser something less pathetic to do than just fail as both the Minister of Housing as well as Immigration. But yeah, Dominic LeBlanc, as who pointed this out? I always want to credit the person. I already knew it happened, but always credit the chat when they bring it up. Foxman67 says, saw Dominic LeBlanc is now in as finance minister. And my favorite joke about all this was from a friend, Michael Hetrick, on X, who said LeBlanc check as the new nickname for Dominic LeBlanc as the finance minister, because we now have somehow a $62 billion deficit. Remember when the fear-mongering not fear mongering exactly, but remember when the prediction was, oh my goodness, we're going to blow through the $40 billion deficit red line, and people were thinking we could be at 46 billion, we could be at 47 billion, and it comes out it's like $61.9 billion deficit. Also, it's pathetic that we even thought a $40 billion deficit was like somehow legitimate. Like we should just be like, oh wow, it's only $40 billion. Ugh. Thank you for the $2 super chat. .co89. What do you predict happening for the coming days? I think that because the last day sitting in Parliament is tomorrow, so Justin Trudeau doesn't really have to even prorogue Parliament exactly to survive here. He can just count out the clock. Maybe he schedules like an interview tomorrow when he acts tough, and then he just lets Parliament go silent for a month and a half. And then again, I don't want to give Trudeau advice, but he'll never take my advice, so I'll pretend to give him advice here. If he wants to survive, he's not going to. He's not going to win the next election. But if I, for some reason, am chained to a radiator and forced to try and save the Liberal Party of Canada, if I was Trudeau, I would, because you can't say that I'm going to pause the carbon tax because actually I was wrong about it. You never admit you're wrong in politics if you're a Liberal. So what you should do as Trudeau is pretend that because of the potential of a trade war with the US, which is really not that big of a potential as long as we do the bare minimum to try and secure the border better, I guarantee Trump leaves us alone. But what Trudeau can say is because we need to be on a war footing for a trade war, and Trump is forcing his hand. Trump's forcing my hand, and I have to put a 2-year pause on the carbon tax, the consumer carbon tax, or else people will go bankrupt. I believe in putting a price on pollution, I would say if I'm Trudeau. But in this current climate of trade instability, we must make sure that Canadians can save as much money as possible, and then we can pursue our targets in 2 years. I don't want to have to do it, but the orange man is forcing me to do it. Like that's what I would do, and then I would also like start slashing immigration quietly and doing a bunch of other stuff, so that in the 8 months of lead up, you can kind of use this as an excuse that I was actually doing already very good, and all these people rebelled against me, and then kick them out of the party, and then bring in loyalists. I would also shuffle out, frankly, the really, and I'm not trying to target anyone here, but the really condescending women on the front bench of the Liberal Party need to go. Karina Gould, Chyrstia Freeland took herself out. Again, the main problem here is Trudeau. Don't get me wrong. Trudeau needs to go. But if I am pretending to be a liberal strategist, I would replace Karina Gould, I would replace Jenna Suds, I would replace Anita Anand, a lot of people who have condescending personalities. And I would frankly replace them, and it sounds stupid, I would replace them with people like Steve McKinnon. I'd replace them with people like Mark Garrettson. I'd even try and replace them with some rebel MPs who are fed up with Trudeau, but maybe you can kind of bribe them back into the cabinet by saying, hey, I'll make an overture that, maybe I was wrong about a few things, and I'm going to let you do what you think needs to be done, and like put Wayne Long or some other person, Nate Erickson Smith, in some senior role. I don't think Dominic LeBlanc is much of a change. And that's the thing. Trudeau is verifiably insane because he keeps trying the same thing over and over again, thinking he's going to get different results. How many cabinet shuffles are we at this time in Trudeau's government? Like 5 or 6 at this point? He's tried this too with the minister of finance. The thing I don't feel anything. I don't feel bad for Chyrstia Freeland at all. I am numb to her situation other than it's funny. Because she was the one who helped throw Bill Morneau under the bus. And now she's like, I can't believe Justin Trudeau's trying to throw me under the bus. Like, Chyrstia, baby, you've seen this movie play out before. You saw Bill Morneau get like run over, and then Trudeau backed up over him 3 or 4 more times, and you were like, sayonara, idiot. And now you're concerned that like Justin Trudeau came after me. I never. He's loyal to people. I can't believe he was disloyal to me, even though I helped like gag and bound Bill Morneau before we dumped him under the 18 wheels. Like, what the heck? Come on, guys, figure this stuff out. My goodness. Anyways, Jessica Van Luke, Sorry if I'm saying your last name wrong, Jessica. Do you think that Trudeau is the king of Canada? If he is, that's sad. But I don't think. Smug Doug says, "Are you drinking coffee this late?" No, I'm drinking something a little lighter than coffee in terms of the caffeine. I'm having just like red rose, orange picote or picoe, whatever tea. It's like caffeinated, but it's not quite like drinking coffee. I do drink at least like a pot of coffee a day, though. It's my one thing. I tried to shoot a video today. I was like an hour late getting my video on Chyrstia Freeland's resignation out because the way I shoot content is on StreamYards here, where you're watching this now, the way I'm streaming this, it has a pre-record feature. And because I got used to doing it this way, because frankly, I was so broke, I couldn't like afford editing software, I would just use my StreamYard account to just pre-record a video, and then I can just trim off the ends so I can remove the first second of dead air and the last second of dead air. But this morning, I couldn't get it right because I was like, okay, I go upstairs, I like turn on the coffee, and then I walk downstairs and I start filming this video. And it takes me like 30 times to try and get the video going. But I'm like, I have like mental fog right now at like 8:30 in the morning because I haven't drank any coffee yet. So I needed to go have a cup of coffee, and then I came back and like within 3 tries, I got the whole video done. It's pretty, it's annoying. I've wanted to throw things at the wall trying to get a video right because I basically do this whole show like a pre-recorded radio show. It's kind of like what Tim Pool does, but hopefully considered better. I don't know, but like it has been really good for public speaking though, because I think the biggest problem I had public speaking before I started doing the channel was that it's not that you're scared of crowds, you're scared of messing up in front of a crowd. And if you become experienced putting one foot in front of the other and always being able to know what you're about to say next, you don't start feeling freaked out what people are going to think if you mess up because you just know you're not going to mess up. Gonge Farms even bigger question is how long is Wyatt's nightly bed routine? What? Well, I don't go to sleep until like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. Toaster says Trudeau isn't going anywhere. He will drag this out as long as possible. October, he is a tyrant. And I think the bigger thing for Jagmeet Singh not overthrowing him, it's not Singh's pension. Singh already is worth like $6 million. He's not exactly poor. I know there's some people out there who just want more money. And I think Singh likes having more money. The big thing for Singh is I think he likes public attention. So if an election happens, he's out as NDP leader and nobody has to care who he is again, as well as most of his caucus doesn't get their pensions until October. So they're going to want Jagmeet Singh to hold on as long as possible here. Al Reason says, let's abolish the Income Tax Act permanently as it will decrease corruption in government and the government pensions, and we can afford to live on our very own money. Imagine that. I kind of agree, but I disagree that I would just agree that I think that we should probably have like a cap on how high income taxes can be increased. Like make that like a charter thing that income taxes on the federal level cannot exceed 15% or 16%. That's still pretty high, but currently the top marginal bracket for income taxes is 33%. It's absolutely insane. And I found out like a month ago when I was talking to Belinda Carahalios from the New Blue Party of Ontario. Ontario has artificially lower looking income tax brackets where its highest bracket is 13%, which is in fact lower than Alberta's. But the problem is after you pay $5,000, you get taxed. You have a surtax on your taxes. So you pay like 25% on anything you pay above $5,000. And then after like $7,200 that you pay in taxes, everything past that's taxed like 33%. It's actually insane. So you're taxed, and then the amount you're taxed is then taxed by an additional percentage. So the actual top marginal tax rate in Ontario and Canada combined, like the federal and provincial Ontario, is like 52% of your income. I don't know how anyone lives in Toronto after you hit a certain level of income because the government's just going to take away all your money immediately and you're not going to be able to make any payments on anything. True Crime Canada says Jennifer O'Connell has to go. Yeah, that's another person. So it's like Karina Gould, Jennifer O'Connell. The worst is Jenna Suds. That She is so bad. She talks to everyone like they're 5. Guys, did you know that your canned child benefit is in the mail, guys? It's like a Christmas present. Like she sat down and like talked at kids just staring at her blankly. Have you ever been to school and you're kind of hungry and it's hard to focus and like she's like going on for like 2 minutes about this. And it's like stop. They're like kids. They're not like worms. They understand the words. Just say what you're going to say. Uh Akul Cucumber says, "Why do you think Canada will fall if the U.S. goes away from daylight savings?" Um, Honestly, I don't know. I think that's one of those things that has to be put forward to a public vote. So if you put it to a public vote, it might work. Honestly, I am in favor of daylight savings time because dang it, it's an institution and a tradition at this point. And what unites us more than complaining about daylight savings time and having to wake up later? I think it actually is genuinely good in that way. Uh, Ray, rumor has it that Freeland was met with a standing ovation when she entered the caucus meeting, and that's the Rebel caucus is at least 60 MPs strong. And it's crazy how every single person, and there are some people who we don't even know if they're Rebel MPs or not, who every time it was brought up to them by the media, oh hey, Chrystia Freeland resigned. They just went on like a filibuster for like 2 minutes about how much they like Chrystia Freeland, and I don't doubt that she's kind of like the good guy in caucus, like the kind of the nice lady that everyone knows is like the hard worker or whatever. She doesn't do good work, but maybe she's the nicer one of between her, Trudeau, and like Katie Telford and some of the other PMO advisors. And so I think maybe there's going to be a lot of people willing to follow her in whatever she's doing. Min Max 123, how do you think today will affect the Langley by-election results? I don't know. It's just conservatives are going to win even harder than we thought. Okay, Jessica Van Luke. Okay, by the way, I got that now. Uh, I'm trying to get through some of these questions because I don't want to not answer them, but I also want to get to playing some clips. Rick says, will someone get Claypool a coffee? Actually, I was going to try and get a sponsorship. Not a sponsorship with a coffee company. I was just going to just endorse a coffee company because I just happen to like one business and not even being paid, but I was going to endorse Kingdom Coffee. So if you guys ever see Kingdom Coffee being sold anywhere, I endorse their product. It's mostly just in Western Canada and I think maybe just Alberta right now. But if you see Kingdom Coffee on store shelves, consider buying it. It's run by very good people. Bonez Benz with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Frosty the Snow Person was a very sad soul. For Trudeau caught up with Frosty walking alone in the snow. Poor Frosty, run, Frosty, run. I'm very confused by that. But I would be also terrified to see Justin Trudeau down a dark alley because he's desperate right now. And, his bloodlust is up. David Edwards, $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Jagmeet is worth 78 million. He could lend the NDP for the election, but he won't. Like the true commie he is, he only likes spending the other people's money. Yeah, I'm not even sure what his net worth is. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt that it's higher than what I said it at as 5 to 6 million. I've just heard 5 to 6 million before, but like the other day they actually found the exact model of Rolex watch he was wearing and it's like a $14,000 watch. It's insane that anyone even considers paying that much for a watch because at that point you're not paying for quality. It's not like it's diamond encrusted and it's rare. Well, I guess it's technically rare, but you're just paying for the fact that they didn't produce a lot of them and it's like a luxury symbol. That's the funny thing. He is a luxury he's a luxury communist. Do you wonder if Jag will call it tomorrow? No, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. Today was the day for him to do it, or today was the day for him to threaten Trudeau, and he didn't do any of it. He just kind of, frankly, wussed out. He hasn't done a single thing. Maybe let's just play this clip of Jagmeet Singh calling on Justin Trudeau to resign, because I think Jagmeet's positioning and attitude on this was very telling about how weak he is. Again, Trudeau is bleeding out on the floor. Trudeau has no ability to fend off any want from Jagmeet Singh over the next week, and he's just calling on Trudeau to resign. He says, "Today, I am calling on Justin Trudeau to resign." Liberals are fighting themselves when Canadians need a prime minister who will fight for them. I thought he already said Trudeau is unfit for office. Why is he doing this whole shock gasp? I can't believe Trudeau and his caucus are fighting one another. But I'll let him talk.
Today, I'm calling on Justin Trudeau to resign. He has to go. Right now, Canadians are struggling with the cost of living.
I think this clip is oddly quiet, so sorry for that.
I hear it everywhere I go. People cannot find a home that they can afford. They can't buy their groceries. And on top of that, we have Trump threatening tariffs at 25%, which put hundreds and thousands of Canadian jobs at risk. And instead of focusing on these issues, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals are focused on themselves. They're fighting themselves instead of fighting for Canadians.
It's always funny whenever he starts fear-mongering about the tariffs. His strategy on the tariffs is, we need to form a war room. It's like, no, what do you think, we're going to fight the U.S. on this one? I know he doesn't literally mean a war, but like, you think we're going to get into a trade war with the U.S. and try and win. We will lose that war. You're an idiot, Jagmeet. David Edwards, $2 super chat, and he's answering all the other people saying that they are shocked it would be 78 million. He said, I checked, it is 78 million. And his family, I believe, is like, at least he is from a wealthy background. Again, remember, his original name is Jimmy Dhaliwal, and he changed it because that's like a really rich upper crust type of a name, Dhaliwal, to have in the Sikh community. So he ended up going away from it, or the Indian community in general. There are Hindus with all who also have that name as all, and obviously also like Christian converts. Jessica Van Luke saying, seeing Jagmeet in Rachel Gilmore's apartment was completely inappropriate. If you're ever wondering how radical the NDP is, just look at the fact that they are they're hanging out with Rachel Gilmore, somebody who is a far left Antifa cutout. Alberta Cowgirl, but Wyatt, he ripped up the agreement. I forgot. Yeah, Jagmeet Singh ripped up the supply and confidence agreement. So Jagmeet Singh is, he's rebelling against Trudeau, obviously. That's why he won't vote for him. Like, he won't vote to end his government. He's just so against Trudeau. He wants him to stay in government longer. David Lucas says, yes, Google, there are net worth sites. Okay, I think I have gone far enough in the chat. I've gotten up to the current moment, so now I can jump over to, let's watch Right Blend here. Give Right Blend a follow on X if you guys happen to be on X. He gets good clips in Ottawa. I believe he lives there, and so he can kind of act as an amateur reporter. Yeah, Charlene, if you're still watching at the start of the live stream, I accidentally said Tim Houston when I was talking about I accidentally said Andrew Fleury from Newfoundland and Labrador when I meant Tim Houston from Nova Scotia. But Right Blend here. So if you guys are on X, go give him a follow. He does good amateur journalism in Ottawa. And he says, I asked the brand new finance minister, Dominic LeBlanc, what makes him think he can fix the flaming dumpster fire that is the Canadian economy. I also asked him what it felt like to be a patsy and a fall guy. And then I want to check out another clip that Right Blend put up because he also confronted Justin Trudeau.
It's the new Minister of Finance, Dominic LeBlanc. What makes you think you could fix this dumpster fire that's our economy? How does it feel to be the patsy? How does it feel to be the fall guy?
Is it just me, or does this seem like an oddly quiet gaggle of reporters? Outside of Right Blend talking, there's kind of another reporter talking to him, then people are just following them with cameras. Isn't this like kind of the biggest story in the country, and there's like a single guy with a camera following around the guy who just inherited being the finance minister? Yeah, so that seems weird. But yeah, I want to go find that other clip from Dominic, from Right Blend here. See if we can just find it by doing this. Yeah, here we go. It's Justin Trudeau he's confronting in this clip.
King Trudeau, what gives you the right to continue? What gives you the right to stay in office? You failed Canada. You've ruined our country. You're done. Walk away. You don't have an ounce of your father's integrity. At least he walked in the snow. You've ruined this country. Everyone around you is running from you. They're abandoning you. Chyrstia, Freeland, Sean Fraser, they've all left you. It's time for you to go. It's
Well, not very objective here from Right Blend, but I feel like in this specific, I think in this specific instance, I'm okay with it. Streamside Adventure says, Wyatt, I've been watching your videos daily. What do you predict will happen in Canadian politics going into 2025 and going forward? I think okay, depends on which version of Trudeau we have. Smart Trudeau probably replaces his front bench with people who are less insufferable. That's not saying much, considering I am proposing Mark Garretson would somehow be less insufferable than like Karina Gould or Jennifer O'Connell or Jenna Suds. But even Steve McKinnon, throw in some pit bulls. Again, Trudeau doesn't deserve to be in office. He hasn't deserved to be in office basically since the beginning. But if Trudeau's smart, he basically tries to find excuses to back off of a bunch of his high tax policies, put some freezes in place, just go scorched earth on a lot of your own policies because obviously they're not working. But I suspect that Trudeau's too egotistical to even indicate that he was wrong about anything. And so a lot of the guys are just going to be the C squad, just holding down the government until October and everything falls apart. Maybe they're waiting to see if a scandal breaks on the Conservatives they can take an advantage of and call an election. But I think that's their only strategy at this point, because we truly are on the C squad at the moment. And I'm proposing they move on to the D squad, because the A squad was, 2015, Bill Morneau was finance minister. You had Wilson Raybould in justice and all this stuff. After 2019, then you had the B squad. After 2021, we've had the C squad. And now it looks like he's going to have to start whacking some members of the C squad here. Jay, we can indeed see your comments. Jessica Van Luke, would love to see if you do a small business series where you interview small business owners on how the government is affecting them and their business. The only reason I wouldn't do that is I feel like we kind of all know how they're affecting them. Like, it's just high taxes, high regulations. The labor standards are ridiculous, and it's extremely difficult to run a small business because all the policies, as much as the NDP wants to pretend the Liberals are corporate, all the NDP policies are basically the same as the Liberal policies. More taxes and regulations on business advantages larger businesses over their smaller competitors who cannot survive higher costs on their operating. Claire, I agree about the heckling, but people are fed up. Sometimes can't help it. At least I felt that way today. Yeah, and I think if you're going to be an amateur, a journalist, and yell at the prime minister instead of ask him real questions, today was the day, because I think we all know Justin Trudeau was not going to actually answer any questions. But here was what it looked like as people were leaving the caucus meeting, because Justin Trudeau obviously had to have an emergency caucus meeting. And here's Sean Fraser leaving the room. He also had resigned last night as the housing minister. Again, he might try and run to be like the Nova Scotia Liberal leader. Who knows what he's doing? He's not running for re-election, though. Remember when he was supposed to be like the big up-and-coming shining star of the Liberal Party? Oh, he's Justin Trudeau 2.0. Like, what do they even mean by that? He's like kind of conventionally attractive for a guy, and he's like, I don't know, white. Like, that's the only thing I can really say that he's like Trudeau. If anything, I guess he's just the low charisma version of Trudeau. Like, I don't like Trudeau, but Trudeau has charisma. Sean Fraser has absolutely nothing going for him. He's not even good at policy. He got shuffled out as the immigration minister because he sucks at his job. Yeah, Tony Fox, Sean Fraser looks like he's 7 feet tall. I think he's like 6'5" or something like that. So he is a genuinely tall dude. Everyone doesn't realize you know what? I don't get enough credit for this, guys. People think I'm short. I always have people tell me in real life, I thought you were shorter in real life. That's literally that's literally like the top comment I get if people notice me in real life, is they say, I thought you were shorter, which is sort of insulting, but I'm going to let it go. Everyone's not going to answer a question. I don't even know who any of these people are, honestly, because there's so many of the Liberal MPs have been perpetual backbenchers for so long that you don't even know who they are.
Was this about planning QP or something else?
Mr. Holland, Mr. Holland, are you staying in cabinet, Mr. Holland?
Are you in cabinet, Ms. Young?
Oh my goodness, look at the number on that lady. What is she wearing? What is this? It looks like alien spaghetti on a... It looks like an eye exam. What is this? You know what? Trudeau should kick her out of caucus for wearing that jacket. I hate that. It's actually offensive to me. What is that? Oh my goodness.
Mr. Trudeau's still in there.
Is Trudeau still in there?
Is the Prime Minister still in his office?
Metaphorically.
I even like how the doorman finds this all very funny. Oh my goodness, everything's so bad. I want to get to that clip of somebody was shooting the caucus meeting through a window, and they sort of saw Justin Trudeau talking, and there was just a Liberal MP sitting there vaping in the corner of the room. Smug dog. My mom tells me I'm tall. And then see David Edwards, $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Fraser only had a 1% chance of winning. That's why. And yeah, you're right. A lot of these people are jumping ship purely because they cannot win re-election in their ridings, especially in the Maritimes. The Maritimes are an absolute bloodbath right now for the Liberals. Remember, 2015, they literally won every single Maritime seat. And now they would be lucky to retain 2 seats out there. Outlet says, I can't even afford a beer to celebrate. Another one bites the dust. I like that. Streamside Adventures, Wyatt Claypool for Prime Minister 2025. Well, you know, I tried to get into politics. I still have this right here, but you know, I don't even know. I guess I wasn't like biologically related to the right people to get like a Conservative Party nomination. I worked hard enough for it. I had like 700 to 1,000 supporters even before getting the list to start calling other people supporters and convincing them over. But you know, I guess I wasn't the right person. Although jokes on the person who got me kicked out of that race. The guy they were trying to shove through in Calgary Signal Hill still didn't win. So congratulations to David McKenzie. He was not the wrong guy to win. So I'm happy that David is now currently the MP nominee for Calgary Signal Hill. I would have liked to be it. That would have been nice, but you know, sometimes you don't win them all, even though you could have won it and you were just had it taken from you, but whatever. I don't think as many people know that. Frankie Burnell, I guess you're the same height as Dwight. He's a good height. Or Rainn Wilson, I guess. I'm like 6'1.5", 6'2" or so. So yeah, me and Jay are in the same league here. A third tooth. I find it funny that Wyatt is a low-key caddy fashionista. Yeah, actually, I own you. I think people have seen I own a lot of shirts and blazers and whatnot. Although I keep going back and forth between the same blue and brown one and then the brown plaid one. Oh my goodness! I also have a really bad back. I don't think people realize this. I have to do like certain stretches in the morning because that is the extent in which I can actually lift my arms up unless I do a certain stretch, and then I can lift my arms up properly. But literally, that's where my arms stop. Because for some reason, like my shoulders or something like that, like tendons in my shoulder over tighten, and I have to get them to stop doing that. It's ridiculous. Jay says, Wyatt, do you think Pierre is further to the right than Harper was? I would say definitely. Stephen Harper was a very just center-right type conservative. I have criticisms of Harper. He was good, so there's no reason to like hate the guy. But on like social issues and culture issues, he was very much not to be found. And then on fiscal issues, he was pretty good, but just never really cut spending, ran some deficits for frankly no reason in my mind. I know after 2008, I give him that there was a market crisis. You might have to have you might have to have like a deficit that year because of lower income tax returns. But I think that like Harper should have been more aggressive on being fiscally conservative. If that was going to be his main focus, because that's what you always hear, he was good at the economy. I think he could have been a little bit better on the economy. And I'm not somebody, again, who hates Harper. I just always try and see the legacy a little bit more realistically, because I think we really have rose-colored glasses on for Harper because of how bad Trudeau is. Harper was good, but I think some people think of him as like a Ralph Klein figure when he was more of just a good manager of government. I think would be his a good way of putting his legacy. Yeah, Foxman67. Yeah, here in the Maritimes, we have not a lot of goodwill for the Liberals. No one, $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Wanted to say Merry Christmas before it's illegal. Well, Trudeau doesn't have very much longer to make it illegal. Maybe Bill C-63, that hate speech law, will try and make it an illegal act to say Merry Christmas. And then there is that clause where you can be put under house arrest if you're at risk for saying something hateful. So if Merry Christmas goes on the hate crime list, then we could all be blocked up for potentially saying Merry Christmas at some point. Yes, Streamside Adventures. I'm going to be mentioning that thing. I'm going to be going and mentioning the open window of the cabinet meeting. I want to go find that clip right now because that was funny. And then I want to talk about Nahid Nenshi, as oddly enough, because that was he just posted this really embarrassing video today trying to needle Danielle Smith. Okay, I'm trying to find a good clip. Okay, here it is. This is the cabinet meeting people have been talking about, where you can kind of see into the room. They're putting up the blinds, but you can see the guy vaping over there. Here's Chyrstia Freeland walking into the room while she was going to the meeting. And what else do we have here? But then there was Justin Trudeau looking honestly smug as normal. Because again, I think Justin Trudeau likes this whole crazy stuff going on. Yeah, Jessica, I'm an hour before the polls close in BC, since I assume they close at 8 p.m. and 7. Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. I'm stupid. No, the polls closed. Yeah, wait. No. Okay, no, the polls still haven't closed in BC. My timetables are so messed up right now. Matt Wyatt needs a proper smoking jacket. I will say no because I don't want to look at. I don't want to end up looking like Michael Knowles. Frankie Burnell says I have to work on my tan. I got a tan when I was in Japan, but yeah, it was. I don't like not wearing pants. I don't like wearing shorts. I have an inability to wear shorts. Beyond excuses, professional life coaching. Hi, Wyatt. Should Justin Trudeau prorogue Parliament? Will order in council apply? What about the new rules pushing gun owners? Well, I don't think he has to prorogue because the sitting in the December is about to end anyways, and only the Prime Minister can bring back Parliament, or a majority vote can bring back Parliament for a sitting, and frankly, I don't think anyone's that motivated to force things along. And I do believe that Trudeau can sign orders in council while Parliament's not meeting. Because Parliament not meeting doesn't mean that Cabinet can't meet, because Cabinet is the literal government, and the government keeps functioning even when Parliament fully dissolves. Like during elections, ministers are still ministers. You don't lose your ministerial role. It's only after the election and the new government's coming in that you end up losing your powers. Jay says, I think Maxime Bernier could definitely fix this mess of a country. My perspective on Maxime Bernier is Maxime Bernier has to figure out how to get off his couch and actually campaign if he wants to make a difference. I probably campaigned harder than Maxime Bernier did in the past year. I have hit more doors. I have done more to actually try and elect good people, and both for big parties and small parties. But Maxime doesn't try hard enough. He just kind of farts around a little bit, goes in, shows his face at a couple of events, and overall I find that he does a disservice to what is actually a pretty good platform when it comes to the People's Party of Canada. PPC has a pretty good platform. The problem is that you can draft a great looking platform. You can't then sit on Twitter all day like a lot of PPC influencers will, and then demand that, well, people better vote for us because our platform's good. Well, why shouldn't people then go vote for the Christian Heritage Party or the Libertarian Party? They have good platforms and they outflank you on the fiscal conservative or social conservative sides of things. Oh, well, that's ridiculous. Well, is it ridiculous? Because that's your guys' argument. The thing is that personality is an aspect of your platform. Bernier doesn't give people confidence that he's going to work hard enough to actually make sure that he's going to be able to get his policies into government, which means that when you read their good looking platform, you filter it through the lens that these people aren't going to do any of this. So the platform, in my mind, ends up reading like a C minus because, okay, well, that's a nice. But you guys haven't worked at all to make sure that you can market these ideas to people and get into government. And it's absolutely possible for small parties to win. The Greens win. The Reform won back in the day. The Reform won in a by-election that in the previous election they only got like 13% of the vote on, but they noticed that it was a good riding for them, and they just targeted all their resources to that specific area in BC and made sure to just campaign as hard as possible, because the campaign is like the job interview for government. Does this person work hard? Can they articulate themselves? Are they professional? Are their ideas good? All of that stuff plays into an election. It's not just your website and your platform. I think Corey Stalker Jay asked that one, so I'm not needling anyone on that one. I think you have a good point that technically, if we implemented everything Bernier said, yeah, a lot of things would improve. But again, I think I always look at this in terms of, is he actually working hard enough to get it done? Thanks for doing this, Wyatt. Some really good insights. I'm going to steal a couple for work tomorrow. Definitely. So I assume you're like talking to people around the water cooler or something like that. The ground zero of changing politics in the country is the water cooler. Jay says, I'm too white to get a tan. I only get sunburned. I can kind of get a tan, but I hate getting tans. Plus, I always feel weird, like you get a tan and then it's winter and you just kind of look like a bit of like a, you look like a sweet potato walking around. Yeah, Gavin Smith. If Max had Pierre's work ethic, he'd be prime minister he would have been prime minister for years from now. Yeah, he could have just waited for Scheer to lose in 2019. He didn't really have a good enough plan to go out and on his own and start a party. I don't think he really looked at it. So, like, how hard it would be. So, like, it ended up him just hurting himself. And, like, I don't like to exactly say it's the sour grapes party or something like that, because if he was treated unfairly inside the Conservative Party, that's bad. Guess who else has been very badly treated inside the Conservative Party? Well, partially me, but I don't want to talk about me. Pierre Poilievre. Did anyone remember he got blackmailed in 2020 to not run against Aaron O'Toole? We wrote an article about that at the National Telegraph back when we wrote articles. And guess what? Poilievre didn't say, well, Aaron O'Toole screwed me over, so I'm going to go somewhere else. He just waited for Aaron O'Toole to inevitably lose, and then he ran on a kind of a, I kind of told people so type platform. I like Mad Max. Waterball saying this. I like Mad Max, but he needs to rejoin the Conservative Party. I just don't think they want him at this point. He just said too much to be able to come back. Yeah, Smug Doug says the PPC is just a right-wing purity testing party, and that's the problem. And I would agree with Phoebe Long. PPC needs a new leader, and it's because they just need somebody who gives that sense that the thing is too. I'm not trying to go after people who call themselves populists. It's too nebulous a term for there to be really a group of people who identify as it. But Max leans way too much into the terminally online populist crowd. Way too many really on-the-nose smug memes about the PPC being shared by PPC HQ. And any normal people looking at this just thinks they're childish. Like, these people obviously don't have the ability to govern because they are sharing stale, smug, memes that tell the person who's sharing them we're smarter than everyone else because we're PPC. Stephen King, two resignations and a by-election loss. Now we just need a joint declaration by the premiers calling for Turd's resignation. I'm not even sure if that would happen at this point. I think even Doug Ford dodged the question on whether he thinks that Justin Trudeau should resign. And honestly, it's probably not anyone's business. Even Smith, who said that Justin Trudeau should resign, I get that one a little bit more because it's Alberta, and obviously we get abused a lot by the federal government. But for most premiers, there's no real winning in saying anything. Third tooth. Well, maybe look up the National Telegraph, Pure Polyev, blackmail. I think you might be able to find the article. I don't want to go into too many details because that has a bit of an old lawsuit attached to it. We won it basically because the guy who filed against us ran away. But I don't want to go dive into details and be nice to the guy who then basically agreed to leave us alone because he had no merit. Nick Monk, I will totally support you, Wyatt, wherever and wherever you run for election. This YouTube channel is gaining lots of fans for you, a true conservative. Thank you. And part of what I'm doing here is trying to make it so that it kind of becomes like a nationwide radio show, but on YouTube, where I can kind of break down a lot of the news and do it in such a way where I'm not just cheerleading. Obviously, like, I'm a conservative. I'm going to say a lot of nice things about the conservatives over time, but like I can also criticize Danielle Smith. I am very critical of Danielle Smith a lot, and it's not for like nonsensical esoteric reasons like I think she's a globalist for vague reasons. I'm like, I wish she would cut taxes. I wish she would reduce spending because it's hard to run against the NDP in 2020, 2027, and saying Nenshi is a tax and spend liberal when we're acting like tax and spend liberals on so many different fronts. Why do we have an anti-racism grant program that has $7 million put into it every year? That feels a little bit silly to me. Anyways, if you guys also want to sign up on the website, I'm just putting my website link in the description here. This one, WyattClaypool.com. I have a sign-up list there. What I'm doing is just collecting, yes, I am collecting data, but what I'm doing is I'm just trying to create lists so that if there's a nomination race or a leadership race going on anywhere in Canada, federally or provincially, or nomination races, I can recommend good candidates. And so I would just email the specific people in the postal code area, and then I just leave you alone. But we have two leadership races going on or will be going on soon in both Manitoba as well as New Brunswick. In New Brunswick, I would heavily encourage Chris Austin to run, the former leader of the People's Alliance, which is a good example of a small party that actually got traction and won somewhere. They used to have 3 MLAs, they went down to 2, and then they joined with Blaine Higgs's PC party. But he's with the guy who technically started the parental rights movement inside New Brunswick, because he was the one who basically quarterbacked the Policy 721 changes in that province that Blaine Higgs then ran with. Blaine Higgs was very good, but I'd love to see Chris Austin as the new leader in New Brunswick. And then Manitoba, there's a guy named Wally Daldrich I'd like to also see as the new Manitoba PC leader. He, like Chris Austin, orthodox, social, and fiscal conservative, and I think that that's what we need. I don't like the stupid narratives that we see about, oh, Blaine Higgs lost because of his anti-trans bill or his anti-trans stuff or is too socially conservative. That's not it at all. In fact, the Liberal leader, Susan Holt, who's now the Liberal premier, unfortunately, she was running away on social issues the entire election because New Brunswick, in fact, like many places in Canada, is way more socially conservative than people think. In fact, Blaine Higgs's social conservative policies were the popular things he was doing. People didn't like his cuts to social services and cuts to the budget, which were, I think, needed. And I think in the long run, they're going to realize the wisdom of Blaine Higgs in being more fiscally hawkish. But if Blaine Higgs messed up anywhere, he should have cut the HST like a year before the election. You don't run on an HST cut. You run on an income tax cut, but you cut the HST a year before the election so people know you're serious about cutting income taxes. HST is not a cornerstone type of an issue. It's not a keystone issue for a platform. We're going to cut the HST by 2%. Wow, that's going to save people $100 in a year, maybe if you're lucky. Anyways. I first heard about this channel when Wyatt was a guest on Northern Perspective. Are you talking about a different channel? I've never been on Northern Perspective before, or at least I don't think I was, unless it was like a much smaller channel back in the day. I think you're thinking of something else. I think you're thinking maybe Clyde Do Something, because that's the guy's show I go on a decent amount. Oh my goodness. Smug Doug, Nikki Ashton is my MP. Oh, thinking of Nikki Ashton now, and it's bad. She's like actually the worst. She's like our AOC and our Ilhan Omar combined, or I guess Sarah Jama is our Ilhan Omar. Nikki Ashton is horrible. She has like she's part of the socialist caucus of the federal conservatives. That lady is nuts. And also, like, she's like the main person I think of whenever I use the line, I wish the NDP cared about Canada half as much as they seem to hate Israel. Um, she's actually my neighbor, believe it or not. Well, make sure you don't listen to the stream too loudly, or she might put a pickaxe through your head. Yes, it was Clyde. Okay. Yeah, Steve shot by-election results in 15 minutes for Langley. Yeah, maybe. Should I stay on until the by-election results are in? I guess so. Jessica Van Luke, do you think any sort of pro-life bill that will pass once Poilievre is in office, like maybe putting more baby safe havens boxed at hospitals, fire halls, and police stations? I think we'll probably get things like, I think it's possible to get like upgraded charges for murdering or assaulting pregnant women. Sex selective abortion is something we can get rid of. I think you could even get some sort of late term restrictions. Any good steps forward would be good to go. I think that would be smart. Any small steps forward. And I think that Poilievre could do that comfortably while he's saying he's pro-choice. By the way, I know people who know Pierre. They say he's actually very pro-life. And so I wish he would just say he's pro-life. I know it's this idea that, oh, if you're pro-life, the media is going to attack you. Let them attack you. Way more people are pro-life in Canada than they let on. Because whenever they do the statistics, they're like, only 25% of Canadians are pro-life. I'm like, yeah, only 25% of Canadians are 100% pro-life. But when you actually look at the rest of the trimesters of abortion and you start asking people what they're comfortable with, a lot of people get pretty pro-life pretty fast when you actually give them specifics. I had on another pro-life note, it was a while back, but I did and when I say a while back, I mean it was technically only last week, but I put a lot of videos out. I did a interview with Cameron Cote from the Canadian Centre for Bioethical Reform, CCBR. You guys can go check that out. They do pretty good work. I jump around and help out, or I try and help out a lot of the pro-life groups. And so that's, I always think that you should always, that's where if I ever recommend to people who they should maybe vote for or consider voting for in nominations or leadership races, somebody being pro-life is definitely one of those top things for me. And some people are like, oh, don't talk about it. It could hurt. It could hurt it could hurt your chances at victory. Let's not let the Liberals win. If you're terrified of the Liberals winning because you happen to take a principled stance on being pro-life, just pack it in, stick a fork in it. The country's done. If that's really the state of the country that we're in, that you couldn't even be mildly pro-life and win. The good thing is I don't think we're there. I think you could easily be pro-life and win an election in Canada. Run on a sensible policy. No late-term abortion. No sex-selective abortion. Something like that. What, is Trudeau going to get up on stage and start weeping that you're against partial birth abortion? Obviously not. I would love a leader to get on a debate stage with Trudeau and Singh and say, gentlemen, can you tell me what's your favorite part of a 9th-month abortion? Because apparently I'm the weird one for being against it. So could you explain why I'm weird for not wanting to kill a child who's 9 months pregnant, who's 9 months developed, and to actually eliminate the child, you would have to partially birth it anyways, in which you might think, why not just fully birth it and not do some unspeakable things to it? But yeah. No one, thank you for the $5 super chat. Do you think this next government should be isolationist in terms of international policy? No, I am famously a little bit more hawkish on foreign policy than a lot of other conservatives. It doesn't mean I'm going to say let's invade Iran or something like that. But Donald Trump is way more hawkish than people think. A lot of the isolationists in the United States, like Tucker Carlson, seem to pretend like Trump agrees with them. Trump is very hawkish and active on foreign policy. And it's becoming almost a trite phrase to say, but it's true. You achieve peace through strength. When Qasem Soleimani is ordering the Quds force to try and attack American soldiers in Iraqi embassies, what Trump does is he hits Qasem Soleimani in Iraq with a cruise missile. That is how you actually keep things safe. it was not a good war in terms of they had no plan on what to do once they got there, and then they pulled out and just let the entire region fall into chaos. But in fact, the safest period of human history in terms of battle casualties was, in fact, when George W. Bush was president. Because as soon as he whacked Saddam Hussein, there was suddenly this moment in the Middle East where everyone was like, have you guys ever seen that scene in The Wild Bunch at the very end with the shootout where that Mexican general like slits the throat of one of their friends and they just shoot him? Like they just shoot him full of holes. And then suddenly everyone's just like standing around like completely quiet, even though they're surrounded by Mexican federale troops because nobody knows what to do. That was like George Bush killing Saddam Hussein. Stupid move in hindsight. They shouldn't have done it. But, or at least the way they did it was stupid. They had no plan on what to actually do once they got there and took them out. But, like, that actually kept the world safer for a bit because everyone was utterly terrified to be the next Saddam Hussein. So that was over the top, but that is like a proof of how it works. Like, Trump made the Middle East safer because he was willing to use overwhelming force if he was pushed too far. Patch Dress, $6.99 super chat. Justin Trudeau will likely not step down. He'd stay in power for life if he could, like father, like son. I'm wondering, and what do you guys think is? What do you guys think will? What do you guys think will happen if, let's say, Trudeau loses in October? Very likely to happen, but he doesn't like drop out now. I guess he's going to be gone. So he's going to be gone at some point in 2025. How many of you think he's going to be back in 10 years because he wants to like fulfill the prophecy of the Trudeau family of losing an election then coming back later? Claire Schillebeer, I agree he'll lose if he says pro-life. Bad optics. I actually that's where I think you're getting me slightly wrong. I think Poiliev's people think that they'll lose votes if he says he's pro-life. I think if Poilievre says he's pro-life and takes, when I say a sensible position, I think any pro-life position is sensible. But if he just says, I am against sex-selective abortion, you like argue against that, Trudeau, he would immediately win on that issue. Because the Apple video with Poilievre, that whole moment is about the media and the liberal establishment not having an answer to something that they think is so obvious. Because that reporter was asking Poilievre, so you're far right, so you're a conspiracy theorist, so you're this or that. And he obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. And Poilievre just starts saying, well, how am I far right? How am I a conspiracy theorist? And the guy falls apart. That would be the same thing. Imagine if a conservative MP was able to just to say whatever they want and nobody's telling them, there's no talking points that you have to follow because parties tend to try and do a lot of talking points. And I disagree with that. I think the more you program how your MPs talk, the worse they are going to be at talking to the media in the future because they rely so much on party comms people to know what to say. But what happens if a leader then goes after Poilievre and says, well, you're sexist for being pro-life in some way, even though most of pro-life people, there are more pro-life women than there are pro-life men. If they go after Poilievre on that, and you just said, I'm against sex-selective abortion, why is it okay to kill a child for being a girl? What does the media say? They would just have the same stuttering kind of, some people say that this is attacking women's rights. I'm like, we're literally trying to protect women here. I don't even know what you're talking about. And I think that's the kind of moment you could generate. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up a little bit. Thoughts on IVF? I don't really have deep thoughts on IVF overall. I don't know, other than it's probably a more local issue. You only ever see me sitting down. Yeah, and that's for good reason, because I don't know. I don't want to be a standing desk guy, Charlene. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine me being a standing desk person? I'm obnoxious enough. Jessica says, I wish more conservatives supported Ukraine, like the Pleb and Kat Kanda. Both of them have said things on Ukraine that really disgust me. I just disagree with them. I think they're more so, because I know both of them and I like both of them. I think they just more so follow the general populist ideas on those issues. I'm not one of these guys who thinks that we should fund Ukraine forever. But at the same time, if you don't back up your allies, well, you're going to stop having allies because every single one of your allies thinks you're going to sell them out as soon as things start getting tough. That's why Biden caused so many wars. It's not because he was starting crap with people. Why Biden started a lot of wars, and he didn't start them, but his weakness started the wars because he pulled out of Afghanistan because he wanted a good headline. Oh, all the troops are home. And he did it in such a stupid way that not only did he pull all the troops out of Afghanistan, he pulled the contractor money out of Afghanistan. And so all the people keeping the jets and the helicopters in the air for the Afghani military left. And now the Afghani military couldn't even fight the Taliban anymore. And then the entire country folded up and collapsed. And Putin looks at that and says, well, I can probably just beg all of Ukraine, and Biden's not going to do a single thing about it. And do you know what actually Biden did when he first got into office back in 2021? Is he cut the offensive weapon aid to Ukraine. Trump was the first president to actually give Ukraine and Georgia and the Eastern Bloc, former Eastern Bloc countries, he actually gave them offensive weapons, javelins, artillery. He gave them old tanks and armor equipment that the U.S. doesn't really use anymore. Ukraine paid for it, but they get it's subsidized. They don't have to pay full price for the stuff, and it gets out of the U.S. hands because the U.S. isn't even using this more older equipment. And the only reason Ukraine survived in 2022 was because they had a surplus of Donald Trump era weapons. So few people know this. It was Donald Trump who prevented Kiev from falling. Trump, and then obviously, the Ukrainians fighting back themselves, and like it was the Georgian volunteer force from the country of Georgia who stopped the airports from being taken over around Kiev and prevented the Russian military from taking them all. But it was nuts. But yeah. Patch Dress says for a $13.99 super chat. Thank you, Patch. That's a bigoted take on 9th-month abortion, Wyatt. Of course the infant would be delivered and kept comfortable, resuscitated if need be. Then disgust would ensue between physician and the mother. Patch Dress, of course, is referencing the extremely disgusting thing that Ralph Northam, the former governor of Virginia, had said about literal after-birth abortion, saying, well, we'll figure out what to do with the child after it's born. Patch Rest, another $6.99 super chat. Thank you for keeping me afloat, Patch. My reference might be outdated. 2019. I hope you know I was joking. In all seriousness, abortion bad. So I didn't see your second follow up beforehand, but I knew the reference because I watched too much news. Mike Schnell says Trudeau is done. Jagmeet will pull support and vote no confidence within a week. Maybe. The problem for the NDP is they're literally broke. They don't have the money to run a campaign. They would have to basically only spend money in incumbent areas and fight for no other ridings. They can maybe fight for some Toronto ridings because you don't really have to spend as much money to compete in an urban riding because you can't put up lawn signs when there's only skyscrapers around. But you can put up some digital billboards and whatnot, but like for the most part, it's really difficult to spend that much money in an urban riding unless you're just paying volunteers and running social media ads. But that's the big thing holding this back. It is the financial insolvency of the NDP. I don't even think they fully paid back all of their 2021 debt yet. Reality Inc. Ukraine isn't an ally. They're not a part of NATO. Well, I would agree that members of NATO are more likely to be allies, but I don't think that's exactly fully true. Like, I don't consider Turkey an ally of Canada. It's basically a country run by the Muslim Brotherhood at this point. Erdogan is a full-on Muslim Brotherhood dictator. The guy even goes around making the Muslim Brotherhood symbol at events, which is a supremacist Islamist organization. So I don't necessarily think that Turkey should even be part of NATO, but I think that Ukraine and Georgia and countries like that deserve more Western support or even just Western outreach than they currently get. And the funny thing is, if you actually go back in history, and this was even on the Russian website for the longest time, Putin said he didn't care if Ukraine joined NATO. And so it was complete fabrication when he said, well, see, we were being threatened because they were going to join NATO, and then we will have NATO troops on our border, which means like you're going to have some like troops from the U.S. training some Ukrainian troops, doing some joint exercises. It's silly. But it wasn't really like we're not being surrounded by NATO. And you always get those stupid charts that come out where they show US bases around the world and it's like surrounding Russia. I'm like, do you actually think there is a US base in Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan or Iran or or Azerbaijan, or like it was like Mongolia? They were like, how all this the people make up charts, and you have these charts where it's like absurd, where somehow the US has a base in every single country on the planet plus every McDonald's. It's insane. Smitty 25 CA. Ukraine is the world's most corrupt country. Russia's way more corrupt than Ukraine. Ukraine is corrupt. Any Eastern European country is corrupt. Even Georgia is very corrupt, mostly because of Russian influence. It actually used to have a very libertarian economy, and it's semi-libertarian now, but the Russians put a lot of pressure on them, so they end up, passing foreign agent bills, which is really just going after anyone who's like, critical of Russia as being a foreign agent. But the thing is, like, did you see the thing that happened in Russia the other day? A Russian Olympic gymnast was thrown out of a window because over the past week before, he was disagreeing with Putin on the war in a very high-profile way. Male gymnasts in their prime don't really seem like the type of people who accidentally fumble their way out of a window, like a top-floor window. Nick Monk, why is it that you talk about the lawsuits you have against you always switch to a plural, us and we? Who exactly got sued? So in the case of the one that's ongoing, that is specifically listing Wyatt Claypool, the National Telegraph, and then Lily Trin, which is the pseudonym for somebody who was writing for us who was just staying anonymous because they don't want to be harassed, but they did good work, and I'm not going to say who the person is if they did good work. If you're trying to find out who somebody is when it's just, they did good work and they were factual and everything was up to snuff and I know who it is, there's no point in me unmasking somebody just so that somebody can then harass them. I'm the publisher and they can come after me, but I am the main person that they sued in that case. The other one that had to do with the lawsuit related to us reporting on people trying to blackmail Pierre Poilievre in 2020, that was Daniel Boardman and then the National Telegraph being listed. But Daniel was being pursued in another stupid lawsuit at the same time, which it's utterly insane because Daniel got sued for something extremely stupid in which he's been vindicated on every single point of the case since it happened, where like all the organizations that he was said to be stupid for saying that they basically act as front groups have been basically gone after by the CRA for being front group organizations. But regardless, though, I always just say we because I consider anything that's targeting me or Daniel or somebody else and the National Telegraph to kind of be a we lawsuit, even though for this one I've paid for this one myself all the way through. And it's more so like it's long and complicated, but it's nothing against anyone else. I just decided to kind of, quarterback this one. Especially because like I think Daniel's quarterbacked other stuff in the past. So, I took this one. You don't always get to pick the fun lawsuit. Do you think Poilievre will end the war, and what do you think him and Zelensky's relationship will be? I already think the Ukrainian war is coming to a close now. I think the Russo-Ukrainian war is probably going to end before Trump comes to office in the next month, or it's going to end shortly after Donald Trump comes to office, because at this point, I think Ukraine has done a good job in the funny thing is people act like the U.S. is attacking Russia and we have to be scared because Russia might nuke somebody. North Koreans are helping Russia. China's helping Russia. There are Islamist militia groups helping Russia. Like, why is it only bad when like a Western volunteer shows up to help Ukraine who's not even been ordered to do that by any Western power? But then if Russia's getting help from like Iran, like China, all these other like dictatorships, it's totally cool. But what Ukraine started doing is they stopped listening to Biden telling them what they can and can't do, and they just went into Kursk in Russia, and they've taken a portion of Kursk where they're mostly fighting North Korean troops now, which is frankly a smart move, because that means that in the negotiation, they can trade back the Kursk region that they took, the part of the Kursk region, for part of the Ukrainian regions that Russia took. Because at the end of the day, no side's going to win. in the sense that it's not like Ukraine's going to get all of its territory back and then some, or Russia's not going to get all of Ukraine or anything like that. So it's good that Ukraine got a card that it can play in a negotiation. I'll trade you Kursk, but you have to give us back Mariupol. You have to give us back everything up to Crimea. That would be, one of those things where I think that that's why it's probably going to end. I think both sides don't really want to fight anymore at this point, and I think both sides have enough of they have a good enough negotiating position to get this done. I think that's where we're coming to. And again, the thing is, people don't even realize Trump's solution to get Russia to come to the table, because people assume he's just going to tell Zelensky he has to negotiate. That's not what's going on at all. From people not leaking like it's a bad thing, but people who are around Trump intimating what his perspective is on the Ukraine war is saying that what he's going to do is say that they have to negotiate, or they should be coming to a peace agreement where both sides can claim some form of victory, or he will triple the Ukraine funding. Obviously, unless Ukraine's being the unreasonable one, then obviously Trump will check Ukraine. But if Putin won't negotiate, he'll just triple the Ukraine funding, and then Trump and then Russia definitely cannot win, and they could even potentially start losing the war massively. But that threat is required in order to get the peace. Overwhelming power is what ends up getting peace in any war. That's why Vietnam went on for like a decade, because the U.S. kind of dribbled in forces. I'm not saying the U.S. should be in Vietnam. That's not the discussion today. But that's the problem in Iraq. That's the problem in Vietnam. That's the problem in Afghanistan. They dump a bunch of troops in initially. They take some territory. And then when they hit resistance, they're like, okay, how about we add another troop? Okay, how about we add another troop? Okay, how about we add a tank? How about we add another squad? How about we add a jet? And then they just slowly add forces to the point where the enemy can kind of compensate for it and figure out if they can keep fighting. What you do is what you do in any other war that actually gets won, like the Spanish-American War, like World War I, like World War II. You just dump as much as you can on the enemy, beat them as fast as possible, and then get a good negotiation. That is what is required to get peace, not going soft. Because if you go soft and you're dealing with psychopaths, they're going to keep fighting, thinking that you're eventually going to get worn down. Thank you for the $10 super chat, John Sweeney. Do you think conservatives will keep their word on implementing simplified classification systems for firearms, or their promise to review and rewrite the Firearms Act? I think they will, because I think that it will help. The reclassification is smart just because it helps fend off any future liberal bans of firearms, because if they decisively redefine firearms and make sure that you can't label them as assault weapons, then it's hard to ban assault weapons. And I also agree with isn't the simplified classification system also that it's easier, like you just get you basically just get one license, but it allows you to get restricted and unrestricted, since it's kind of silly that you take two licenses when they can just sit you down and make you do both of them. Claire Shillabeer, I disagree about Ukraine. I think the CIA started it with Russia. I can send you guys a really good video, and this guy's even more of a libertarian, but he does a good breakdown of what kind of went on in Russia. By the way, isn't it kind of a little bit suspicious that after the Russian, what I would consider the Russian puppet government in Ukraine in 2014 was overthrown, that all of them immediately escaped into Russia? Isn't that a little weird? They didn't go somewhere else. They didn't go to Denmark. They didn't go to Sweden. They went to Russia as their main place to go and post up afterwards. And yeah, people also forget that those forces from the government were shooting people who were protesting. It wasn't also wasn't like a CIA thing. I just disagree, everyone, if people think something's a CIA thing. The CIA didn't overthrow the Mossad in Iran and install the Shah. That's not what happened there. The CIA can't bribe millions of people into protesting an unpopular government. Claire Shillabeer, so where does Canada stand on the corruption scale? We're still a Western country. We have corrupt people in government, but we're not like a cop's going to pull you over on the side of the road and basically demand a bribe or he's going to arrest you. That's starting to become third world stuff. But I would say in terms of the West, we're kind of like the UK, that the justice system is so woke that it doesn't really act as a justice system anymore. People get convicted of things they shouldn't be convicted for. People don't get convicted of things that they should be convicted for. And our government officials, because the media is in favor of their lefty woke agenda, they don't really fully cover all of the corruption that happens in government. And it seems like Trudeau and many people are able to bend the rules a lot around, paying friends, giving single source contracts to everyone they want. But I'm trying to catch up with some of the stuff. Patch Russia bad. That's a big duh. I'm still not funding Ukraine. Well, not for funding Ukraine. Well, the thing is about the stupid thing about Canada's funding for Ukraine is we're not giving them anything useful. We could literally cut all of our funding to Ukraine and it wouldn't matter. Because do you know what we're doing? We are paying China to build drones and then send the drones. They're not even offensive drones, and then send the drones to Ukraine. China is literally an ally of Russia, and we are paying China to send our ally in the war equipment that's meant for logistics. Do you think there isn't a possibility that China's just giving the data these drones are collecting to the Russian government? It's absolutely insane. Smug Doug, Putin will get the territory they gained and Ukraine will join NATO. I think there would just be changes around the border. I don't think that all of it would go back to Ukraine, but I think they would probably get some cutouts, like some more Ukrainian towns would probably get thrown over to the Ukrainians. And then in exchange, the Ukrainians would give up Kursk, and then maybe they'd be able to join NATO. Or if they're not part of NATO, they'd have at least some sort of NATO adjacent type defense agreement with NATO. No one $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Ukraine is the only army to advance backwards, and Russia is the only to retreat forwards. They need a peace agreement now. What do you mean by advance backwards and Russia's the only one to retreat forwards? You're probably being too clever for me, and I'm not getting your point. Nolan P. was trying to explain to my NDP voter friend what's going on in Canadian politics right now, and she asked if Jagmeet Singh is the mayor of Vancouver. That sweet summer child. Wyatt check Trump. He just put a message trolling Trudeau again. Okay, I'm gonna go on Truth Social and check it out. I don't have a Truth. I think I technically have a Truth Social account, but I don't need it. But if I just look up Truth Social, I know the first account is Trump to look at it. Okay. This is hilarious. Okay, this is 37 minutes ago. I should really post this on my own Twitter too. So this is what Donald Trump has just posted as of 37 minutes ago on his profile on Truth Social. The great state of Canada is stunned as the finance minister resigns or was fired from her position by Governor Justin Trudeau. Her behavior was totally toxic and at all conductive to making deals which are good for the very unhappy citizens of Canada. She will not be missed. I love this. I love that Trump is showing up to back up Trudeau in a stupid way. That's kind of great. That's kind of amazing that he shows up to support his boy Justin Trudeau, because you got to be loyal to your governors, and Justin Trudeau has been a very loyal governor to Donald Trump as the governor of the state of Canada. Oh my goodness, that's so stupid. Sorry, guys. I'm being narcissistic and posting posting something on Twitter at the moment. Okay. So apparently we are about to have polls close in We're about to have polls close in where is it? What am I thinking? Cloverdale, Langley City. So I'll pull up what the results were back in 2021 because I think that's at least interesting to bring up here. Oh, that's still the Trump thing. So in 2021, this is what the Cloverdale Langley City results were. Liberals 39.2%, Conservatives 36.1%, and NDP 19.9%. And I guess what's your guys' predictions? What do you guys think is going to happen here? Or someone's saying that it's another 15 minutes until the results come in. Oh my goodness. Do I even want to stick around for another 15 minutes? We know the Conservatives are going to wipe them out. So maybe we can end off here talking about how badly Trudeau's about to get wrecked. And I can, I guess, just kind of do a review of what's going on tomorrow, because I don't think I really need to be here for like 30 minutes or like an hour just going over what the results are when it's going to be a wipeout. I'll probably do an entire video just talking about how bad a wipeout it is in the context of Trudeau getting absolutely shellacked in his leadership review or leadership contest. Oh, anyways, but I will still be here for a little bit here. Sorry, I'm dealing with a lot of people trying to contact me. Oh my goodness. I'm being so nervous. I'm like sitting on my phone, but I'm not trying to. My goodness. Yeah, old med student, 338 Canada predicting Conservative Party at 53%. That's I covered that the other day. They said like the Liberals are like 27%. And so it would be a 26% lead for the Conservatives there. $2 super chat, no one. Please stay up to watch the results. Okay. Okay, $5 super chat from Smug Doug. Do you think Trudeau will throw Mark Gerritsen a useless cabinet position before the end? I think so. I feel like that would be Mark Gerritsen achieving his quest in life to get into the cabinet before everything burns down. Yeah, but Mark Gerritsen, he always reminds me of Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. Hey, wait, I got so sidetracked, guys. I'm gonna bring up the let's look at this Nahid Nenshi video, and this is something he posted himself. I'm not just pulling a terrible clip of the guy to make fun of him. And he's now trying to go after like Danielle Smith over something stupid, because like Danielle Smith is like too pro-America or Trump or something like that.
What's not helpful is UCP MLAs literally doing a happy dance on the floor of the legislature because they were so excited President Trump won. What's not helpful is the Premier of Alberta calling President Trump hilarious on Fox News.
Fact check true, though.
What's not helpful is the Premier of Alberta completely taking the frame of the U.S. government on this. There were 44 pounds of fentanyl caught at the Alberta-Montana border. That sounds like a lot. It's not a lot compared to the hundreds of thousands of pounds that came from the Mexican border.
What the heck? Okay, well, what? Okay, I thought this guy's supposed to be a professor. Is he stupid or something? Look at that.
There were 44 pounds of fentanyl caught at the Alberta-Montana border.
Can someone get me a readout of how many people you could kill with 44 pounds of fentanyl? That feels like a lot. 44 pounds. And then he moves on to, there's thousands of pounds along the Mexican border. And it's like, yeah, that's a country's border. And then Alberta, and that's only saying what we've caught. What we've caught. The whole point is that we don't actually do very good border security on the unprotected parts of the border. Yeah, ports of entry, we're finding 44 pounds of fentanyl, but the whole point is that there is a reason why 10 times as many people on the terror watch list go into the America through Canada's border than go through the Mexican border, because it's so easy to just walk over the border in Canada and have nobody bother you. 44 pounds of fentanyl?
That sounds like a lot. It's not a lot.
That sounds like a lot, but it's not. You might think that's a lot, but I can assure you, that's not a lot.
compared to the hundreds of thousands of pounds that came from the Mexican border. And for the premier to say, yeah, this is a very big problem, President Trump, you're right. And we're going to put drones and helicopters and we're going to step into, this is what she announced.
I assume Brad Barton's thing here is decently scientific. He said 10 million people. Okay, yeah. So and old med students here, and you have old med student in your name, so I assume that you're right. 10 million people could be killed by 44 pounds of fentanyl
Today. And we're going to step into the federal government's jurisdiction on Border Patrol because I've seen that show Border Patrol on US TV and I want that. It's basically what she said today. And if you're in a tough negotiation,
whose like horror movie set is he on right now here? Like what is this?
And you want to be able to be a serious negotiator, you don't walk into the negotiation by telling your adversary you're right. And we're going to do everything you want.
What if they are right? We have 10 times as many terrorists walking over the American border than the Mexican border. You can just say they're right. It's not like it's like, what do we lose something if we say that they're right and we just increase a little bit of border security?
Very concerned that the premier's casual attitude on this, her lack of seriousness as a premier, her lack of seriousness in working on serious issues.
That wasn't even clipped well. This is like this is his actual like pitch. My goodness. Wow. He's just so uncharismatic. I don't understand what the appeal of Nehad Nenshi is. I think he still has a chance to win and become the premier in the next election. But that's just because the problem is what we have going on right now. The problem in Alberta right now is that if the UCP wins the next provincial election by like 6 or 7 points, that could still be a loss because of Calgary, because Canada, or because the UCP can basically run up the score in the rural areas, but then they end up losing in Calgary if you're not careful. And like I keep saying about Danielle Smith and the UCP, they need to cut taxes. They need to cut spending. I don't think we need to be spending $7 million a year on anti-racism grants. Why do we have a Black advisory caucus for the premier? Why do we have a multiculturalism and diversity council to advise the premier? Why? Why do we have like $12 million in diversity grants? Why? Why do we spend money on ESG initiatives and ESG tracking? It's stupid. And these are just microcosms of the problem. There are entire programs that we can probably slash. And I don't like when, frankly, premiers who are doing a better job than Trudeau is, granted, then say, Trudeau sucks, ergo, he's the problem. It's like, yeah, I guess he is mainly the problem, but if we can reduce stupid spending, we should reduce stupid spending. I hate when stupid spending becomes relative to someone else's stupid spending. Trudeau does more stupid spending than we do. It's like, okay, we're not in a competition with that idiot. How about we just reduce spending that doesn't do anything for anybody and in fact makes people's lives worse? Jordan DeSaltels says, why does Edmonton exist? I do not know. Smug Doug says, I'd like to meet the Alberta Conservatives who vote NDP provincially. Like, who are these people? Well, the thing is that provincial elections do have lower turnout than federal elections. So what I expected is that it's not the same people voting between the elections, and more casual federal conservatives stay home during provincial elections. Because there is this weird idea in politics that people have that the higher the office, the more important the election is. And so nobody votes in municipal races, but then everyone shows up and votes in federal races, even though your ability to affect the race goes down the bigger the election is. You should always vote, but you should definitely vote in a municipal race. And you should definitely vote in a, nomination race because nobody votes in nomination races, and they basically determine who's going to be elected both provincially and federally, and also municipally if you have municipal political parties like Calgary is going to be getting. Although I think a lot of them are just going to be appointed positions this time around because a lot of the parties don't really have enough time to get things all sorted out. Do we have any other clips? What other clips are there floating around? This looks promising. Cat Canada posted this from the counter signal just a little bit ago. She says it looks like Trudeau left it up to some junior staffers to field reporter questions. Reporters asked her if we can expect any kind of statement from Trudeau, and the staffer offered that LeBlanc already gave a statement. Reporter pointed out LeBlanc is not the prime minister. Poor thing.
Okay. Setting aside Scrum, is there a plan for any statement to say what the state of affairs of the government is?
Yeah, I mean, Minister LeBlanc was just sworn in as finance minister, as you saw. Minister LeBlanc provided comment. He did a scrum already.
But he's not the prime minister. Only PMO can say if the prime minister's coming or going.
I mean, the prime minister, as of right now, I don't think has any plans to scrum after this meeting.
But
something.
Why are you asking us if it's the end? Well, because actually truly could be the end of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, because like the guy has apparently anywhere from maybe 40 to 60 MPs in the Liberal Party who are not like on his side anymore. It's a pretty bad situation to be in. Who are these girls? I think they're just some Liberal staffers. Okay, I'm trying to find some other good clips. Some of these clips are really quiet. Like some people will post clips, but then the clips don't have a lot of audio with them. I want to find the clip of him apparently saying that he's not going to resign. Oh, I think we have it here. We have it right here.
I love this country. I really.
Are these clips too quiet? Because it feels like these clips are too quiet because I have my volume all the way up and it feels like I can barely hear these things. Maybe it's louder for you guys, but I can't tell.
I trust Canadians. There is no place I'd rather be than Canada, and it is the absolute privilege of my life to serve as your Prime Minister.
He really needs to have a DiCaprio I'm not leaving moment. Yes, you need to turn up your volume in your mixer inputs. The problem is I'm pretty sure I actually have this at the loudest effect. Some people just upload the clips with very little volume, so even jammed all the way up, it's just not loud enough. I'm just gonna see if I can fix this at all. That's the one thing, the problem with StreamYards. It's just not doesn't give you a lot of options for trying to fix all this stuff. I cannot find anything here. Maybe I can just find a louder clip of this thing. Yeah, you'll see me. I'm finding some louder clips now. So this was, we all know, we already saw Jagmeet Singh's response. Ugh. Okay, polls are closing in Cloverdale, Langley City in just a minute here, according to people who are watching the time better than I am. So we will be jumping over that shortly. Yeah, okay, my goodness. We still can't find good clips of this stuff where it's not absolutely insanely quiet. Huh. Okay, well, I'll at least get it set up so that I can go find... I'll be on Polling Canada looking for the updates, because Polling Canada usually does a pretty good job of updating stuff. Or maybe I'm going to go look up the Cloverdale, Langley City returning office. Okay. We are locked in, and polls apparently just closed a bit ago. So we have the polling website up here, and I will try and reorient this whole thing so you can see me a bit better. Maybe I'll even try and edit the layout a little bit so you can see. Oh my goodness, come on. We're trying to experiment a little bit here. Okay. There we go. Oh, okay. And now we play the waiting game and see if any of these results come in as fast as we want. Dabby Dubub says, it's funny that Jagmeet said white men fail up, yet he's doing nothing just to get a pension. Well, and he's only failed and somehow remained in his position. He literally has failed 3 times in a row now. Again, every single one of us, if we were made the federal NDP leader, would do a better job. We would do so much better. Yeah, so this is going to be Jared Walsh, Cloverdale, Langley City. So we can see the candidates here. Madison Fletcher for the Liberal Party. She pretended to be a Métis person to try and win votes, and that was exposed, and she was embarrassed. Tamara Jensen is the former Conservative MP for the riding. She was elected in 2019, having beat, I forget who it was. What was the guy last time? I think I can pull it up here. But she lost in she won in 2019, lost in 2021, and so now she's basically trying to come back to regain her riding. I think this is the right one. I think I had this from another episode. That's Durham. Yeah, so, no, that's a different one. That was Jagmeet Singh's riding, but Jagmeet Singh also has a good chance of losing. Ooh, was that an update? No, that was just my screen shaking like a paint shaker. We have no updates. Yeah. Blah said $61.9 billion deficit. The thing I find funny about the deficit is, and I'm not trying to sound callous, who cares? Past 20 billion, I'm pretty sure who cares? We have a bad deficit. It's like the least of Justin Trudeau's concerns at this point, that the deficit is big. The fact that Freeland was mad that Trudeau forced her to make the deficit bigger is kind of silly, because 40 billion was a stupid goal anyways. Well, we failed harder? Because the thing is, I only consider $62 billion to be like somewhat worse. It's not really all that bad. It's really not that. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's obviously terrible. But the idea that it was bad, it was only a little bit bad before. The deficit was only a little bit bad before, because they're acting like 40 billion was a good goal. Like, no, it was horrible. And 62 billion is very horrible. Both of these are horrible. But I have been for those asking, I have been refreshing the screen. There's just nothing yet, because obviously after polls close, they have to kick everyone out of the counting room, and then the party people have to start counting the ballots. or the Elections Canada people. Yeah, oh no, I agree, old med student. 50% higher than projected is pretty bad. Agreed. My point is that it's kind of like we're really trying to see how many angels can balance on the head of a pin at this point. It's all bad. It's like, you know, it really doesn't matter. Why did you just see the video the NDP just put out saying that they'll call an election in February, March just to get his pension? Okay, did they? Okay, well, maybe if we don't have results yet, what I'll do is I will stop showing that screen, and then I'm going to go and check out the NDP video if they do, in fact, have a video. I'd like to see a video. Oh, there's actually nothing from the NDP. They've actually been silent for the last few days. What was Jagmeet Singh have anything new? Okay, they actually don't. Okay, I think you might. I think that you. I don't think that actually happened, unless that's like from like a interview that they said that. Jared Walsh, cons need to win over 60%. Why do they need? I don't think they need to win it, but that would be nice. I think that I do agree with you. If they need to win 60% of the vote, because I want the win to be so big that it means that Suk Dhaliwal and, you know, people, what other terrible MPs are out in the Vancouver area. But I want every single one of the terrible, Harjit Sajjan, I want him to lose. All these horrible, horrible MPs. Hi, Cat Canada. Welcome to the stream. Make yourself comfortable, or just say hi and then leave. You can do whatever you want. I don't order you around, I suppose. Has Chyrstia Freeland made any public appearances to date? Not that I know of, other than people spotted her walking into the caucus meeting. Oh, thank you, Gerald Walsh, for pinch hitting for me here. John Aldag was the MP from Cloverdale, Langley City, and he ran for the BC NDP and got killed there by the BC Conservatives. Harman Bangu absolutely cleaned his clock. Imagine being a bigger loser than John Aldag. You were going to leave because you didn't think you could win federally, so you ran away. You resigned and opened up the seat for a. So they opened up a seat for a by-election that the Conservatives were going to win, and then you didn't even win anyways. Okay, so apparently this is on Canada Proud, like the results. I'm not sure why I can't get the results here. Oh, okay, the video's on there. Okay, yeah, we can talk about this then, because obviously there's no results to talk about at the moment. Cat Canada, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hi, Wyatt, thanks for watching today. Yeah, so Cat Canada and Brittany, by Brittany, did a live stream on Twitter. So if you guys follow Cat Canada, you can go check that out later. It was a good hangout that they did. Good show, good people. Okay, do I have this here? Okay, so we have the Peter Julian clip here of Peter Julian saying that they might collapse the government.
All options on the table mean the NDP will vote no, vote non-confidence in the government in those 2 months on that timeline.
If we're talking the end of February and the beginning of March, and Mr. Trudeau has not stepped down, hasn't he did that call from his own caucus, from his own cabinet, from all the opposition parties, then yes. So of course that would mean if we're coming up to a straight up non-confidence motion the end of February, early March, that's one of the tools that we have. And so there's no doubt about that. I mean, Jagmeet Singh was very, very clear. My concern really, David, isn't just late February, early March. It's right now. People need the supports. We need a government that actually is functional and is putting those supports into place. And we need...
this is such a lame excuse. Oh, well, we need to collapse the government because they're not getting people the things that they need. Everyone does so much better in Canada when Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government is more dysfunctional, because it means they're not focusing on messing with Canadians and taxing them more.
All hands on deck in terms of the Trump tariffs, which threaten hundreds of thousands of jobs. So this idea that the Liberals can play out a drama over the course of the next few months, simply not on. And the NDP, and I think Jagmeet Singh was very clear about that.
Okay, well,
No, he wasn't. He was basically saying, "Oh, we think he should resign," and then said nothing past that.
with respect, Mr. Julian, he kind of wasn't. He just kept saying all options are on the table.
Oh my goodness, a CBC host is doing their job for a change here. Oh my goodness, can't believe I'm having to rely on a CBC host to actually say make good questions or form good questions. Sorry, I'm trying to find something here on Rumble now. If Cat Canada is still watching, she should go and send me the link on Twitter to their live stream, and people can go check that out afterwards. I think it was a good show because a lot of chat shows between two people can kind of be muddled, but I think her and Brittany did a really good job. Is there any updates yet for the? Nope, nothing in Cloverdale, Langley City. Come on, guys. Come on. What are we doing? Huh, I can't find that live stream at all. You'll have to link me in at some point, Kat, because I cannot see this thing. A $5 super chat from Bye Brittany. Hi Wyatt, thanks for coming on to our live. Can't wait to see you on Friday. Save me a dance. Well, me and Brittany will probably do some sort of podcast when I'm in Vancouver on the 19th and to the 21st. I had to go out there to the Wall Center at some point, and so that's what I'm. So and then she'll probably be there too. Oh yeah, we did go over that. Jared Trump made a joke today about Chyrstia Freeland. It was funny. What I think was so funny about it too is he's backing Trudeau, so he's actually helping Trudeau at the same time that it's going to make Trudeau look bad because his base hates Donald Trump. But then they're going to be in this weird situation where they're like, but all the TrueAnon people who like Trudeau are going to be like, but Trump's right. Chyrstia Freeland is a backstabber and she's ruining everything. What is okay, we don't get anything there. Still no updates. Come on. We still have nothing. I'm going to be waiting here for a while, I think, waiting for these results to come in. Oh, yeah, no, Jessica, I'm refreshing the page quite often. Max Power says, who do you think is the next Liberal MP to jump ship? Like, we had Anthony Housefather today, that Collins guy, and like a lot of the backbenchers. Do I think we get a minister coming out and just saying that Trudeau has to go? I'm not sure. Even Sean Fraser, he's not really saying anything, and he just resigned from cabinet. I wonder if he's trying to keep fake goodwill going by not stabbing Trudeau, because again, maybe he wants to run to be the Nova Scotia Liberal leader and he wants Trudeau's endorsement or something like that. But yeah. Wyatt, sometimes for the page to dump the saved cache cookies on the back end, you need to hit the shift control keys. I'll check. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I think just genuinely there's just no updates yet, because on all the Twitter accounts who usually follow stuff like this, like Sharia Tease, there's nothing. Yeah, there's just nothing going on. Nobody's seemingly has any of the results. I think it takes them a while. So like We're waiting for them to count the first like entire poll stations, and there's going to be like a dozen or so poll stations around that riding. So then we're sitting here waiting until one of the entire poll stations finally counts all their votes. Shouldn't be that long though. It is a by-election, so they shouldn't have that many votes to count. Come on. Kanukistan, is Freeland going to work for the WEF full-time? I'm pretty sure she already does work for the WEF full-time, and that's why she's staying on in the Liberal caucus, because she's not going to leave. Her not leaving from caucus indicates to me she 100% is going to try and go for Trudeau's job, or sticking around to help somebody else go for Trudeau's job. Which is funny because people like Freeland were in fact the ones who helped prop up Trudeau into the Liberal Party leadership back in 2013. Omar Al-Gabra was part of that crew. There's been a lot of these Liberal MPs who have already been thrown under the bus, who are actually the people who got Trudeau in as leader back in 2013, even though he's a complete incompetent who only had the name. Like, I guess he's charismatic from a certain perspective, but, you know, there's a lot of charismatic people in this world. This is not a subtle response from Linda Keys here. Hey, Alberta girl, I was born in Calgary. I love Alberta. Stuck on commie Vancouver Island because of family. Well, hopefully your family doesn't see you say that. Max Power, the vibe section is bad for the Liberals right now. Current vibes bummed. I didn't even know that Chyrstia Freeland actually said that for the longest time. And that's also why I don't feel bad for Chyrstia Freeland at all. She, like I was saying at the start of the stream, she was one of the people who caused this to happen. She literally was one of the people who caused all of the corruption to happen. She helped get rid of Bill Morneau. She helped prop up Trudeau. She helped freeze people's bank accounts. She literally is one of the main hatchet people inside the government. Then she's upset Trudeau turned on her. You know, Wormtongue over here is mad that, you know, the Dark Lord doesn't like her anymore. No one, what do you think about Jack Layton $2 super chat? Thank you for that. Well, I don't like Jack Layton's politics in any way. Just like I didn't like John Horgan's politics. But I think both of those guys were what you could probably describe, outside of COVID for John Horgan, as decently stand-up men in politics. They believed what they believed, and they worked hard, and they probably genuinely cared about people insofar as a politician does care about people. That's where, like, Thomas Mulcair was even a better NDP leader than Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet Singh, you can tell whenever he's around working class union people, he's like visually uncomfortable. It's icky. These people work with their hands. He doesn't like it. He likes hanging out with like the HR employee unions. He likes hanging out with people whose main jobs are like posting content to LinkedIn and sitting around in government offices pretending to work. That is the main constituency that Jagmeet Singh wants to vote for him. Updates. I'm checking the Cloverdale thing. Oh my goodness, please just update. Oh, there's a libertarian candidate. I just noticed that. If guys, what do you guys think? What percentage of the vote does the PPC need to get in this by-election for anyone to think that the party might be viable? I think they need to get like, honestly, they should be getting 5 or 6% in by-elections. Oh my goodness. Someone's saying there's 47 votes reporting. Oh my goodness, guys, we have results. Oh my, is it real? Guys, call it now. The Liberals won. There are 47 votes counted. The Liberals have 12. The New Democrats have 10. The Green Party has 7. Oh no, the Conservatives have, I misread that. I was thrown off by the pink. But so Tamara Jensen wins with 34% of the vote. The Green Party is 7%. And People's Party has a vote. Good job, People's Party. You got a vote. 1 vote. Hopefully they can make something of it. Majora in Ontario, they pull up to 15% in by-elections. And yeah, they can pull up to 15% in by-elections, but usually those are based off of polling projections. which take the results from last election and then they kind of then they assume what the party's going to get this time. But the problem is that, like, even those, when they do have the by-election vote, the thing is that they don't actually do well on election day. But yeah, for the NDP, for the PPC, to prove that they're a real party, they should be getting, like some people are saying, 8%, like 10%. These are by-elections. Nobody's voting in them. In fact, it should be easier than ever to get votes. It should be easier than ever because the PPC supposedly has a hardcore base and by-election turnout's low. So if PPC hardcores showed up, in theory, they should be doing better than the 2021 general, but they've been only getting like half of what they got in 2021 in most of these places. Brittany's absolutely freaking out in the comments saying woohoo over the like 17 votes that Tamara Jensen had. Okay, did this update? Oh, come on, update. What do we have here? Okay, nothing to report for a little bit here. It's absolutely wilding out in Cloverdale, Langley City. Yeah. Stupid people trying to psych me out in my own thing. I was trying to read your business card in the background, and I thought you were a realtor. Yeah, that's the piece of literature I used for the Conservative Party nomination. It's really weird lighting right here, but it's the Conservative Party nomination literature I used for Calgary. Honestly, I recommend if you're running for office, use something like this. It's actually a pretty hard piece of paper. It's not like really thin ones, and it's big enough that a senior can read it. If you make piece of literature for a campaign, especially a nomination where you have to do a lot of explaining on what the nomination is all about because you have to buy a membership and show up on a specific date to vote at only one polling location, all that stuff. You make it have legible writing. Have it so anyone can read it and it's super easy. Sorry, everything's getting so washed out, but you can tell the writing's pretty big. And so many people will do like, I hate pamphlets. Never do pamphlets. Guys, most people are not going to even open the pamphlet. So make sure that they can get everything they need from just glancing at the piece of literature. If somebody is having to then read if someone is then having to like open it up and read very thin text on all these panels, it's no bueno. Make it big, make it horizontal, and slide it in the door. Don't put it in the mailbox. People will never see that. So hopefully, if any of you now run for a nomination, you'll thank me later for giving you that random advice. Any updates? Oh my goodness, no updates. Yeah. A smug Doug, Wyatt's hangout is the jitterbug of political hangouts. Will you run for the cons in 2025? Well, if they let me run for them. Again, I tried to. I did well in theory, but I just wasn't allowed to. They just didn't allow me to get on the ballot, even though the local nomination committee wanted me to, but somebody, and it's not like the party dislikes me. 99% of people like me. I have MPs who text with me. The thing is that an advisor at the top of the party tried to jam in an ally of theirs or tried to get a specific person to win. Maybe it's because they like that person, or maybe it's because they didn't want another person winning like myself. And so they just basically said no, even though obviously I didn't break any rules. There's nothing about me that's offensive in any way. In fact, that person even paid an investigative firm to do like make a 9-page dossier on me. And the 9-page dossier is full of nothing. Like Wyatt follows pro-life groups on social media. It's like, okay, who cares? Like Wyatt criticized the way that Andrew Scheer and the party ran the 2019 federal campaign. And that's not like during the campaign Wyatt was chirping them. I wasn't saying anything in the 2019 campaign. I was barely started writing for the Post-Millennial at the time. I was like criticizing the way the party ran the 2019 campaign in like 2023, in 2024. These are like the years that I'm criticizing a badly run campaign. And how do I know it's badly run? We literally lost. But that was the type of stuff in this 9-page dossier. Like nothing. Like they tried to portray that I had a negative tweet against Polyev because I said after he became the leader in 22 that it's a great improvement. I might have to criticize him in the future because I am a journalist. I'm a conservative journalist, but this is a big improvement over O'Toole. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what was considered a anti-Polyev tweet, even though we're the people who helped go after somebody trying to blackmail Polyev. It's insane. But and the thing is that the person who got this 9-page dossier made up, they didn't even care what was in it. They knew all these points were fluff. They knew none of it mattered. They knew nobody actually considers any of this stuff even remotely bad. They just wanted to drop a 9-page dossier on the table and see like, oh, you can't have him run. Here's 9 pages of excuses, and then hoping the person doesn't even read it and it just assumes it's full of like pictures of me attacking strangers or something like that. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Nolan. Can you ship me one of those cards? Haha. Well, I actually have an entire stack of them because I perceived in the future people might want one just for the fun of it. And I also collect other people's literature. I have like other, like Lawrence Mock over there. I even have like fringe independent candidates literature. I even have the original version of my literature from the race, which was like really low grade, but I just used it as a placeholder. So yeah, maybe if you ever like email me like your address, I'll send one in like an envelope or something. Or maybe it's better that you just meet me at an event and I'll just make sure my bag's always stuffed with a bunch of them. Yeah, the tree's pretty epic over there. So Brittany pointed out the tree. At some point, I should be like JJ McCullough. Actually, JJ is wanting to come on the show at some point, so I might do an interview, like a fun interview with JJ McCullough. But I should do like a JJ McCullough style video where I just go through everything in that Georgian cartoon book up there, Social Smile. Okay, let's see. Any new updates? Oh my goodness, there's no updates. They are counting these ballots as slow as humanly possible just to spite me. Maybe we'll even do that now. Ugh. Okay, we got it. But it's from like the country of Georgia. So it's just full of like cartoon examples of like things that were printed between like 1888 or whatever, or like 1890, and like when the Georgian Republic was overrun by the Soviets in 1921, because Georgia used to be an independent country for like 3 years after the Tsarist regime fell, but everything is either in Georgian and English. But again, my white light is like washing this out like horrifically. But it's a fun one. It's like most of the cartoons are like making fun of communists in like the 1920s or whatever. So yeah. Is there anything interesting here? But yeah, it's like all neat and whatnot. Oh, back on the crochet sheep that my friend made me. It's a really cool crochet sheep. I'm killing time. I'm killing time. Like a serial killer right now, trying to, oh my goodness, get to another polling update. It's still just 47 votes. I'm not lying. Look at that. Horrible. From a distance, the cover of Social Smile looks like Roger from American Dad. I agree. It kind of does. What else do I have on my set here that I can explain? Like, I got the cups. At some point, I might like have like a way of people buying cups. Technically, this is like off center. Like the logo is off center. You could tell because the logo is like too close to each other on the side, and then there's like a bigger gap. But it's cool. I think if I ever made mugs, I'd have them like be bigger because I don't actually drink out of mugs that small. I always like have something like this, and even this is only for tea. I usually like drink out of like a bucket when I'm drinking coffee. Maybe. I'll see. I have 2 cups here technically, so I can always lose one of them. And then I have the thermos over here. And then I have that painting. I got it at an art auction. It's pretty nice. It only costs like $170 or whatever. Painted in 1990. Yeah, so. Oh. Why is there nothing in the vase? Because I don't care about this vase. The vase is a placeholder because I do this, and the entire background becomes extremely, or is it, you know what? Okay, we're redesigning this in real time. Do I like this better without the vase? Is this a better set now without the vase? I just do that. Huh. You know what? I'm going to live with this without the vase for a second. This is how progress happens. Okay. In my country, if you make a logo on a mug that's slightly off center, you go straight to jail. Well, hopefully I'm not in your country. Thank you, Devin. I will never change, but that's more of because of a crippling inability to change. I'm just kidding, but anyways. Okay. Any updates? Oh my goodness, still no updates. We're just sitting here. Charlene's been taken out of the crowd. Charlene has given up because of how slow Elections Canada is. Okay, yeah. Okay. Can I do this now? Okay, I might have to move everything. Or I also have this nice, cool Ronald Reagan thing over there now, like an inauguration thing. I think I can move everything over slightly, and then be more over here. Oh, the problem is you can't move the Ronald Reagan thing too much, or it starts to reflect. Oh my goodness. Okay, that might be better. It's a great sticker from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Oh, come on. See, what I'm trying to do is make sure that the defund CBC thing does not have the reflection of these photography lights I have right here. As you can see, the shadow. This is going to be a war of attrition. Try and get this defund the CBC sign right. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, we're going to stop tinkering. All of you, oh my goodness, it still hasn't updated. I want to commit crimes against Election Canada, but I'm just kidding. Anyways, I'm actually just going to stand up for a second, but I'm not going to mute my mic. It just gives me a second to go pick up some random stuff to talk about. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. And I'm back. So this is what the first Mach 1 of the Wyatt Claypool literature looked like for Signal Hill. It's like really cheap looking compared to this back here. And it's like really small. And then this is one of the fringe candidate piece of literature I got in the BC election. Half of it written in Punjabi, which is funny because it was like Abbotsford South. And it's not exactly like a riding where you need only Punjabi, but it's elect Amandeep Singh, and he's basically just like some obvious Khalistani running. And I was door knocking in an area, the wine streets in this one area where all the streets were named like Merlot and Zinfandel and whatnot. And like he was only dropping them off at houses where people had Indian names, which was very telling because I could go, because obviously I have an app and I can see what names people have at the door. And then that's Lawrence Mott. His honestly, that's like a really good piece of literature. Yeah, that's really quality. But Mock was the candidate I was working for last in BC, and we got him across the finish line barely. He was quite good. Maybe I'll put Lawrence right there. But now it's off. Now it's all the lighting and the glare. Okay, that's better. Then I have this like Fraser pillow, which I was always thinking of like putting there. But does that throw things off? I think that's fine. Maybe that's fine. Okay, well. I always have to move around so that people can see the set a lot, but now you're just seeing all me just messing around with my set while we wait for these stupid election results. Oh my goodness, come on. It is still not updated. Oh my goodness. No one $5 super chat. Reason the results aren't in because they're trying to cheat. I don't think they could cheat this hard if they tried. Jessica, your profile picture looks like your eyes demons like the devil. Lol. $5 super chat. Smug Doug, $5 to prove you're wearing pants. I'm wearing sweatpants, so that's why I didn't want to stand up on camera. I don't want to be that unprofessional. As predicts, Justin Trudeau is the next to resign. I don't really see it. I don't think that Justin Trudeau resigns. I think he's just too. It's one of those things where you can't have done as many stupid things as him and then just suddenly be like, okay, I'm out. You kind of have to like stick it out a little bit longer in order to like, say that he did, rather than just suddenly like rolling over this late. Okay, this is annoying me. Come on. See, this is a problem right here. Anyways, okay. Do we have an update? We still do not have an update. Still, it is 47 votes. Linda says maybe refresh your program. I think it has literally nothing to do with the program, because even the website is properly updating, because it will like suddenly shift the camera because it goes up to the corner every time it auto refreshes. Oh my goodness. Okay, literally just a second ago it updated. Okay. Oh my goodness. And Tamara Jensen is now winning with 46.4% of the vote. This is still only 140 votes. New Democrats, 32 votes. Liberals, 28. Greens, 11. Libertarians, 2. PPC, 2. If Max gets less votes than the Libertarian, what's the over-under that the Libertarian is going to get more votes than the PPC? If the Libertarian beats the PPC candidate here, resign. That every PPC person should resign, even if they're not like in a leadership position. They must resign. Come on, are we going to start getting a rolling? Okay, wow. Okay, more's coming in. It's actually starting to roll in, guys. We have a stream. 84 votes for Tamara Jensen now. 48.3% of the vote. 40 for the Liberals. Only 23. So she is currently winning with a lead of 25.3%. And the NDP are coming in exactly so far where 338 said, but obviously this is extremely early on. Only 5 out of 122 polls reporting there. And okay. And nothing for now again. Oh my goodness. But yeah, all the PPC guys just need to pack it in. If they can't beat the Libertarian Party, what are you doing? And it's not like, oh, well, Canadians will eventually wake up. No, it's that you guys aren't door knocking. You guys aren't going and meeting people where they are and trying to convince them that you're the best option. You're just kind of like you're just smugly sitting on Twitter and just assuming that people will eventually come over to us if we just sort of sit there long enough and wait. Bye, Brittany is surprised I own sweatpants. Not technically, they're just like pajama pants, so I actually embellished a little bit. Willie B 933 Wyatt, I knew you were cool when you put on a cardigan. You're Mr. Rogers. I know there's all the white nationalists, like, and I'm not saying that like to like be rude, but they're like literally white nationalists. They always make fun of me because of this white sweater, this white like. It's the same brand. I had a white version on, and then I was wearing like a like kind of like another sort of flowery shirt like this, but like the more Hawaiian like island type one. It wasn't a Hawaiian shirt though, and they always say I look like a grandmother. And there's some funny edits I've always saved onto my phone. The funny thing is, every time people like make fun of me, I always save everything they make of me because I always find it hilarious. Like I think I have a good photo that they made one time. I think it's part of my favorite photos on my phone. That's how much I liked it. I put it in my favorites. Oh yeah. So this is like something one of these like Diagolon guys made for me, is this picture of me that he made a cartoon of. When somebody hates you this much that they actually go to like this much effort, you gotta love it. Let's see if we have a update in the by-election votes. Okay, not yet. But I'm mostly watching the by-election results now just to see if the Libertarian beats the PPC. This is the real race we're here for, because the Conservatives are going to win. We know the Conservatives are going to win, so we just need to see if the PPC is truly at rock bottom. And this is not like a rock bottom moment where they're going to then ascend shortly thereafter like a phoenix from the ashes. This is like somebody put a nail gun through the head of the PPC. There's nothing left to do. Ariel, the PPC should not run now. They should make sure Trudeau gets out, and then if the cons start messing up, run then and be like the Reform Party version of Canada. I don't even mind that the PPC run. And I know that people are like, oh, they could split the vote. There's no way you can split the vote. I actually think most times people talk about vote splitting. It's not real. Nobody owes their vote to a party, and nobody gets their vote stolen. Yeah, there are some candidates who go around using sleazy tactics to pretend like they're a bigger party than they are in order to get votes or whatever. But for the most part, people who want to vote for the PPC are voting for the PPC. People who want to vote Conservative are voting Conservative. And I actually would be more favorable to the PPC if they were trying. That's the funny thing. All the PPC people on social media saying that like thinking like Wyatt's coming after us and attacking us unfairly. I'm not. I'm encouraging you guys to do a better job, to actually, give a crap. I think I already got this update, Linda. I think we've already seen that one, unless now it's updated again and I just didn't know about it. No, it's still at the same one. Maxime is the right's Jagmeet, but he's actually not helping. Maxime is the right's Elizabeth May, except Elizabeth May's better at winning elections. And you can say, "Oh, we're just not that big nationally." Yet the Greens were never big that big nationally, but they know how to win a riding. Honestly, Wyatt, you should smoke a cigar with that sweater on, or perhaps a pipe as a prop. Well, it would just get like really musty smelling then. Max Power. I read Wyatt's 9-page dossier, and it outrageously accuses him of farting in a crowded elevator one time. You know what? I would if I did that, I would be fine with them kicking me out of a race. And one of the problems with PPC too is that parties need to find their moments. And I'm not saying, guys, pack it in, it's not your time. I'm not here as the arbitrator of what's your time and what's not your time. But if you're the PPC, you kind of have to you have to be able to pick your issues and pick your moment. The problem is the PPC, when they jumped in 2018, they didn't know what they really were. And if anything, they were given a do-over in 2021, and they just still didn't make it work. And since then, they are just a COVID-era party that people don't really remember past the fact that they were a thing in 2021 because people didn't like O'Toole. And again, Bernier could have won his own riding in 2019. He showed up for maybe 2 or 3 days during the entire writ period. He did almost no campaign work before the federal election started. It was silly. He didn't even spend the maximum he was allowed to spend. Apparently, there is an update, so I will go check. Oh my goodness, substantial amounts of votes. There are now 410 votes. So we have the Conservative, Tamara Jensen, at 54.6% of the vote, leading the Liberal by 34.4% of the vote. And the Libertarian guys, Alex Joel is winning and beating the PPC candidate 5-4. A substantial lead, one would say. And then the NDP is just trailing at 18%, Greens 4.9%. Yeah, this is going to be a cleanup. I wonder how many Liberals today were planning on voting for the Liberal Party, but then they just decided that, if Freeland and Sean Fraser aren't even going to show up to work anymore, and now the Liberal Party is just going to start massacring each other, what's the point? Yeah, PPC at 1%. But guys, they only need another 53, not even 53. They need another 53.6% 7% and they can win. It's just that close. If the PPC puts out another couple tweets comparing themselves to lions, they'll win. Guys, politics is all about calling yourself a lion and calling your opponents sheep. If you call your opponents sheep enough, you'll eventually win, because that's how politics works. That's how FDR got elected. Okay. But yeah, this is epic. Okay, it's updated. See, that's what it does when it updates. Okay, see, we're getting big updates, and oh no, Ian Kennedy is pulling in the lead of the Libertarians. It's now 7-5. This is a nail biter. Okay, but now look at that lead, 60.4 to 18.0. Was it Max Power? Who was the one who was predicting a 60% win, or saying they need a 60% win? If the PPC wins this, I'm going to call rigging. Ariel, Wyatt, who is your favorite U.S. president? I don't know, like, I'm not trying to be obscure, but I like Chester A. Arthur as a president in terms of, like, who I find interesting for, like, more obscure president. But then, like, really good presidents are, like, Calvin Coolidge. Who else is quite good? Like Ronald Reagan, of course, is really good. And then there's some other sort of more minor presidents here and there that I think did a good job. I like Teddy Roosevelt a lot, but there are certain aspects of him where I disagree. I never like when people act like, oh, these days he'd be like a modern socialist. I think Teddy Roosevelt was just very much a old school progressive, in the sense that he liked the old school progressive platform, but I couldn't see Teddy Roosevelt these days being like a Bernie Sanders figure. Teddy Roosevelt, to me, feels more like he'd be like a Donald Trump type figure, some rich guy who then starts being a working class type, advocate. But he these days would probably be rebelling against the establishment of overregulation and taxes. Back in the day, even though I don't quite agree that America was overtaxed back in the day and or underregulated, and we needed regulations. Not that regulations can't be good, but you could say that the progressives back then probably wanted more regulations than necessary. Like, I wouldn't exactly agree with Teddy Roosevelt's square deal type stuff, but I think that Teddy Roosevelt, if you were to define him, was a very anti-establishment type person. So these days he would probably be on the side of those wanting to reform government and get rid of, reduce spending and stuff like that. Like Doge seems like a big thing that, like, Teddy Roosevelt would be into these days. No one $5 super chat. Thank you for sustaining the channel. The most astonishing thing about all of this is that Trudeau will wake up tomorrow having lost another seat and just smile along insanity. Well, wouldn't you like to be as completely gormless as Justin Trudeau, and every day is just a new adventure? Hey guys, by the way, sign up on the website if you ever want nomination and leadership recommendations in the future. I'm trying to build it up to a big enough list that makes it worth my while to email people. But what I'll do in the future is just take postal codes, and then I can email people in the correct postal code areas to let you know good candidates in your potential riding for nominations and leadership races. Okay, update. We have the Conservatives now at 63.2% of the vote. Liberals at 16.5, NDP at 15.1. But what do we got here? Okay, dang. The Libertarian is only at 5 now, and the PPC pulled ahead with another vote at 8. This is a nail biter. I need the Libertarian to have a big poll here in the next little bit. Ariel, I will never forgive Teddy for giving the world Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, and Teddy Roosevelt's platform in 1912 was frankly horrific. But again, it's just that I think that you get people like Teddy Roosevelt wanted to be revolutionary, not in like a socialist way, but he wanted to be the one with big ideas. And I think he ended up pushing the envelope way too far. Because again, I think that Teddy Roosevelt would be like a Goldwater type person in the 60s. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I'm ranked higher than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in in the very prestigious game Teamfight Tactics made by Riot. Okay, do we have an update? Better have an... Okay, we have an update. Okay, Libertarians closing in. It went from 5 votes to 6, and the PPC stayed at 8, guys. It's a horse race here. I hope the NDP also overcomes the Liberal. That'd be hilarious. Okay. Maybe we'll go until we're at like 35 polls, because if we wait through every single one of these polls, it's going to be horrifying. Okay, nothing yet. Do we have another update? I don't want to show it on screen and just like be like tiny the entire time. What about the mail-in votes? I hope we, I hope the libertarians better have had a good mail-in game. No updates. I keep hitting it. I'm so excited to see the Libertarian make the comeback against the PPC. We should have just thrown a Christian Heritage Party candidate in here just for good measure. You know what? I'm going to be selfish. I'm just going to keep plugging stuff. By the way, if you guys don't follow me on X yet, there's the link if you ever want to follow me on X. And then I also have a Facebook page. I should honestly link the Facebook page, because I know a lot of people don't use X, but I actually use Facebook because I don't know, I like Facebook. But I sometimes upload my videos there as well. Yeah, Gavin Smith's right. Those libertarian ballot harvesters did their best. They better have. Ah, dang. Okay, no, somebody's right. The PPC's pulling away now. They have 12 votes. They just gained 4, and the Libertarian only gained 2. But it's still, I think it's still doable. I know there is a few guys. There better be some more people with Gadsden flags in that riding to buoy the Libertarians up. Andrew M. There may be a water pipe burst at 3 a.m. and there's going to be 200 more Libertarian votes magically appearing. But yeah, now we have Tamara Jensen, 62.1% of the vote, Liberal 17.2%. I think this is the margin that's going to start to hold throughout the night. Is the Conservatives are going to start like holding at like 34, 35% of the vote. Do we have an update? We have an update. Oh my goodness. Libertarian closing the gap a little bit. It's now 13-10 with whatever this top bar race is. I don't care about what's going up on the top. I just care about these bottom 2 parties for some reason. 30 polls reporting. Is it 30 polls? Okay, well, I'm going to stick around longer, I guess. Yeah, Libertarians coming in close. Coming in hot. Guys, this Alex Joel guy, he's the next prime minister. If he wins this is going to be the fuel to his fire that's going to make him become the leader of our nation. He just needs to be Ian Kennedy. Ian Kennedy is in the way, and we need Alex Joel to have the little boost to win. It's 10-13. I don't even think that was an update. I think I'm just irrational right now. Yeah, there wasn't even a new poll dump. Oh my goodness. Guys, you better all bought champagne because the Libertarian's going to win. I can feel it in my bones. He's not messing around. I saw him cracking his knuckles before the votes came in. He's a fighter. He's going to street brawl Ian Kennedy to win this fight. Oh my goodness, no. Yeah, get out and vote, people. Guys, illegally vote. I am endorsing illegal voting as long as you're illegally voting to make the Libertarian candidate overtake Ian Kennedy. Ian Kennedy nice guy, but Maxime Bernier is using him as a pawn to hold down our boy Alex. Come on, we need updates. We need data. I need information in my eyes. Okay, comment section poll. Mercedes Stevenson versus Vashi Kapelos. Vassy is a far superior. I think she's a far superior like journalist to Mercedes Stevenson. I think Mercedes can be a bit of a rumor monger sometimes, and she reminds me of a lot of other liberal journalists, but I think Vashi can do a somewhat decent job. And every once in a while, Vashi Kapelos gets like an odd amount of like goodwill because she asks a sometimes good question. Okay. Someone said there was an update. Oh, they didn't bait me out. I just had to update twice. Okay. Okay, putting it back on screen. Okay, guys, we have movement. Oh, these Greens, NDP, Liberal, Conservative, what are those parties? What are these parties? I just care about these two. And it's still a horse race. It's 14-11 now. I assume Jared Walsh means it's called now. What do you mean it's called now? This thing's going down to the wire. The real race is just beginning. Old med student. Either way, Maxine will declare victory somehow by the end of the night. Yeah, no doubt. He's going to say that the party is alive and well because we scored. I was about to say scored above 1%, but that is yet to be seen. We have scored above 0.5% of the vote. We are still in this for the long haul. Come on. Come on. Update. We need information and data. Guys, I'm gonna have to start shadow boxing just to keep the momentum up because I'm so like on for this right now. Guys, can we get Alex Joel on the show right now? Can we find this man? I want to find this man. Is he on Twitter? Hey, heck yeah, he's on Twitter. I'm following him so much. Okay, I've let him know that we're cheering for him. Come on, he can beat Ian Kennedy. Ian Kennedy's just a punk. Ian Kennedy's probably a wonderful person, but he in this political disco dojo, he is considered a punk just because we need a hero narrative here for Alex. Where is this? Come on. Okay, there's no updates. Horrible. Horrifying. Oh, by the way, guys, I have the link for later, and I'll keep reposting it, but this is the link from that live that Kat Kanda and By Brittany did. If you guys want to go check it out, it's a really good one. Maybe just open it in a separate tab and watch it later. Okay, what do we have? Okay, I tried to reach out to the Libertarian HQ, letting them, seeing what their strategy is, what kind of tips, what kind of tricks they're going to use to win this thing back from the PPC. No, Ariel, don't cheer him, Wyatt. If you run again for a seat, they will use you wanting a libertarian to win over a con as a case not to vote for you. No, I'm talking about a libertarian beating the PPC guy. Tamara Jensen has already won this thing, and I like Tamara Jensen. I've talked to her before. She's really nice, great pro-life conservative. Oh my goodness. Okay, dang. PPC gained another vote. Okay, this is I don't know what to say, guys. It's choking me up. I need the Libertarian to have some good polls here. How many polls have we counted? Okay, we're 40 for 122. Okay, if this becomes too big of a gap. Okay, if it becomes a 7-point gap for the PPC, I call it. Okay. Are we all... All right, guys, are we all Alex Joe Liebers? We better be the Joe Liebers. I believe in them. You guys are going to remember where you were this night when Alex Joe Lieber won. Yeah, Ariel, Tamara Jensen pulled Trump with a non-consecutive term. In fact, the guy that resigned and ran for the BC NDP also pulled the same thing because he won in 2015, lost to Tamara in 2019, and then came back in 2021, and then decided to resign so that Harman Bangu could beat him to death in the BC election. Because I don't know why he wanted to run as the BC NDP. That was a riding where if the Conservatives were going to win a seat, they were going to win Harman's seat. Okay, do we got an update? Okay, we got an update. Dang, guys, I'm going to have to call it. Unfortunate. Ian Kennedy now has 20 votes, and Alex Joel is only at 12. I said 7%, 7-point gap. It's not working out. I'm at 45 polls. Nick Monk is saying I'm at 40. I'm at 40 polls. I just have to. You sometimes have to click refresh a few times to get it to work. Okay. Oh, the new standard. I'm breaking an election. I'm breaking a promise. We will stick here until if the next one doesn't have the Libertarian closing the gap, then I just like rage quit. Come on. Okay. I'm gonna have to pull this off screen. Horrible. Terrible. Ugh. Oh, it was, someone just said, okay, it was the P. Oh, okay, you guys are right. Okay, there's something to talk about. The NDP is now in second place, leading the Liberals by a more substantial margin than the PPC leads the Libertarians. So it looks like we have actually something else to track here. Okay, I keep trying to hit update. Okay, no, we got nothing. Come on, people. Come on, Libertarians. Woo! I know you can do it. I know you can win the third-party sweepstakes. And think about what it actually takes to, like, get votes. Go door knocking, like, a single day, and you can probably get 25 votes. It's not that hard. And I'm talking about a party with, like, zero brand recognition. The PPC actually has somewhat of a brand recognition. The fact that they are only getting 20 votes so far, and yeah, we haven't counted everything yet. Oh, like, disclaimer. But, like, we've counted through 36% of the polls. I know some later polls might be much bigger polls, but if by the end of this night, the PPC doesn't clear more than 400 votes, doesn't clear more than like 300 votes or something like that, which I think I assume that they'll get more than that by the end of the night. But man, or like I assume that there will be enough votes that's a realistic percentage, even if they get 2 or 3. Goodness. That means they probably didn't door knock at all. Like, I'm gonna go look up, because again, I'm not trying to like run any of these people down. Like Ian Kennedy here, probably a nice guy, but I just want to quickly scroll through his social media before I go for another update here. But like, I don't detect that there was a lot behind this campaign. Like, guys, don't post stuff like this. Awaken the Lion's Roar has become my favorite cringe PPC poster. He just keeps posting weird animals as like PPC supporters. Like we're more impressed. Like, I don't know. This is something Ian Kennedy posted from this psychopath, Dr. Virginia J. Johnston. Why is this Why is this a thing? Maxime Bernier, it's by-election day tomorrow in Cloverdale, Langley City. Support PPC candidate Ian Kennedy. Wow, good work. Good work, Max. And then they're just like here at some random street holding like 2 signs. Like, here's them holding the same 2 signs, probably. They probably didn't even put on someone's lawn. And then they think, like, oh my goodness, stop sharing this guy. He's weird. Stop. Why is this a thing? It's so cringy. Why do people post this stuff thinking it's going to be like, we're going to get tons of votes because we've compared ourselves to lions? Don't you understand, Trudeau and Polyev? I have edited myself onto the moose. That means I'm going to win because I'm more based or something like that. Again, Ian Kennedy's probably a nice guy. He's taken a dive for Maxime Bernier, who doesn't want to actually try, and probably gave Kennedy like $5 and a ham sandwich to run this campaign. But like, my goodness, stop posting weird stuff, please. Okay, there's no update after all that time of me. I was like slaughtering time there like a barbarian. Somehow we still don't have anything. But yeah, like the Lions, it's so weird. Brittany and I are going to do a podcast, and I'm going to force her to react to really cringe tweets I'm going to print off. And I guarantee you I am bringing one from that lion guy because it's so bad. It's so bad. At least the PPC likes the old red ensign flag. You can like the old red ensign flag. If anything, the PPC taints it by being cringe about it. The red ensign flag is like the real flag people are a little bit weird. Okay. Maybe do we go through Oh, this is what the lion guy posted. Okay, let's just do the update first. Then I'll get back to the cringy lion guy. Okay, update. Oh my goodness, that's not a gap close. Come on, Alex. What are you doing? You're getting killed out there. You're getting killed out there, Rock. He's letting Ian Kennedy beat him because he wants to get angry. Okay, so this is the thing. I don't know why he posted stuff like that. She says, I'm not sure who this Wyatt Claypool is. He flipping got me, guys. He flipping got me. I don't even know. I can't even come back from something like that. My goodness. I'm now a Claypool. My goodness. But he sounds like he's made up of 50% soy and 50% spike protein. Dude, if I'm made up of 50% spike protein, that sounds pretty cool. Like I've somehow made myself pure spike protein. My goodness. But that guy got me. I'm so mad. It's so bad. All this stuff is so bad. I don't get the beaver thing. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is so bad. I've been absolutely humiliated. I have been ritualistically humiliated by this man on Twitter. He's so much better than me. He's so cool. He probably eats a lot of beef jerky. Oh my goodness. I've always said that the PPC, or at least I've started saying that recently, the PPC is like the party for guys who call themselves the big dog. Like just really obnoxious energy overall. Ah, dang. Okay. The 10%, the 10-point gap there is still there. Okay. Liberals have overtaken the NDP unless they're exactly tied. No, they're not. Liberals are leading the NDP by 6 votes, which is now a smaller gap than the PPC leads the Libertarians. So, just absolutely underperforming out there, Alex. Come on. Yeah, I bet Alex's dad could beat up Ian's dad. Alexander Campbell. If this is the stuff the PPCs does, how are they beating the Libertarians? Well, it's because the Libertarians don't really try. They just put up a candidate just for the sake of putting up a candidate. But think about it. The Libertarians don't have people standing them on social media all day long and having volunteers go out there to do some fake door knocking for a little bit. The Libertarian guy, I guarantee, did nothing. He probably showed up to like a candidate debate if there was one, and that's it. And he just puts his name on the ballot to promote the idea libertarians still exist. And he is still not he's not that far behind a guy who probably spent some amount of money. There's still 10-point gap. Okay, it's not gonna separate that much. But it's bad out there, guys. It's sad out there. Oh my goodness, guys. Guys, they're too cool. They're too cool. Guys, he's running on a polar bear. How can you stop these people? Why don't people vote for the PPC? Look at this. Look at this. Guys, he's riding on a polar bear. You're not voting for these people? You don't trust these people with public policy? They're riding on a polar bear. What more do you want? And then there's the weird lion thing. I don't get this. Why? This is to make me thinking that they're like pro furries or something like that. And that's a capital offense. Why is Randy Hillier still still around? I don't get it. It's PPC or bust. Well, then it's just bust, I guess, because you guys aren't winning anything. Again, it's like pure poly of something Indians or whatever. I love how they. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's what's happening, guys. Canada's turning on the Conservatives to go vote for the PPC. It's happening. Everyone knows. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows I still have to vote PPC because I can't betray my own heart because apparently we all know we're supposed to vote for them and they don't even have to campaign. Campaigning would be like wrong because it would assume that they actually have to try. A very angry polar bear. Yeah, I'm not sure why the polar bear was like a knight was riding a polar bear in the middle of nowhere. But apparently that is really representative of the PPC, apparently. Okay, how many polls do we got? Okay, we still just got 60. Not much is happening. Yeah, Brittany, the PPC's promoting furries. They keep promoting furry animals as their mascots. Horrific, condemn. But by the way, every time one of these guys is telling you, just remember that every time one of these people is saying that you're unprincipled because you're not voting for them, even though a lot of you probably voted for them in one of the last two elections because Aaron O'Toole sucked. Like, imagine this is the person telling you that you're like unprincipled. The guy who's just posting about like flipping lions or whatever. Like, what are they dressed as? Like, they're like part of some fraternity or whatever, a fraternity of lions wearing some sort of hat, and I'm not sure what that is right there. They're Kappa B Theta like lions, and they are here to like run down innocents in the streets in favor of the PPC. And then he's like crudely edited in red ensigns here in the PPC flag because apparently the PPC does not like the current Canadian flag. The lion's roar has awakened in Canada. I don't know what's wrong with this person, but I feel like I need to make fun of them more. But, this stream has almost gone on for 3 hours because I've gotten distracted by this horse race between the Libertarians and the PPC and recounting all the cringiest things I've seen the PPC posting over the last while. At some point, I should go over that ridiculous video that Greg Wycliffe made about me because I'm extremely subversive or something like that because I don't agree with him on stuff. Even though he thought I was like pro-mass immigration, even though I'm very clearly not, and I've said such a lot of times, and I have very detailed policies, and I even want the Conservatives to be even more like restrictionist on immigration, because right now they don't have quite, at least in my mind, their current policy is not specific. They're saying that the system's broken, there's too much immigration, but I'd like them to say cap at 100,000 or less and slash visas by 80%. I still want them to do that, but like it's like Greg didn't even consider that I might not, I might disagree with him on things other than that. Oh my goodness, guys, Alex Joel is now within 9 points. This is where the comeback happens, guys. This is where the comeback happens. Alex has been holding back his ballots in order to win here. Alex, we all know he was grinding it out at the northern part of the riding, and now we're finally starting to count the north part of the riding. We all know this. We were there. Nothing. Okay. If the gap widens again, I'm done. I'm also just been sitting here for like way too long. Is there anything else here? It's so bad. This one confuses me. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going back to really cringy PPC posts. But look at this one. Is this one implying like the PPC is like a dark race type knight coming for people's souls? Well, here's Maxime Bernier standing.
Very pleased to be here. I just want to do that little video because a lot of people are asking me the same questions. And the question is, Maxime, do you have the vaccine? Will you take the vaccine? I want.
Why are you sharing this? Actually, yeah, Bernier actually did say the vaccine was good, and he even, when his father got it, he told his father to get it. And I don't even care. That's fine. But like the funny thing is the PPC will always forgive anything that Maxime does that violates the purity of the PPC brand. But if Polyev goes to a cultural event, it proves that he must be an agent of like the Indian government or the Chinese government. Are we okay? Did anything get better? Okay, now. Ugh. Yeah, and that's the biggest problem with the PPC. I can stand a lot of things. I can't stand cringe. If you become cringe, you're never getting into office. And especially if you're not working hard, because again, the PPC does not work hard. Yeah, that's right, Gavin Smith. Alex Joel hasn't unleashed his true power yet. Ooh. What was the turnout like? It looks like it's like only like 20% or something like that. It's super low so far because we have 3,000 votes. And in a lot of federal elections, there's like 36,000 people who vote for the winning conservative candidate. So unless a lot of the later polls are going to be like city polls and they're going to start to have like thousands in each one of them, I could see this election having like 15% turnout, like 12% turnout, because who really cares? Jessica says Billboard Chris needs to stay away from the PPC. I get why he talks to them, in the sense that he uses the PP, or at least I don't know if he does this. This is just my theory, is that he uses the PPC as a vehicle to put pressure on the conservatives, saying, "Hey, I will withhold my support from you guys unless you start doing things like the PPC does," because he backed the BC conservatives in that election, and that was very productive. And if the conservatives start to go against gender theory on a federal level, he'll probably back them too. Is there any update here? Come on. Come on. Yeah, see, this is the perfect comment from a smug Doug. I won't take the vaccine, but when your whole party is centered around one vaccine that no one cares about, it's not good. And it's like, yeah, and people move on. Like the world spins on. Eventually, you have to get to the next issue. And someone's like, well, should we move on to the next issue? Should we just bury up all those crimes or whatever? And I think people really overemphasize everything. Not that the lockdowns and mandates weren't bad, but people will be like, you know, that 10 billion people in Canada died from the vaccine. I'm like, no, they didn't. Some people probably did. Because if you gave everyone Advil in the country, you'd have some people die because not everyone can take Advil even. And so there were some problems. But like at some point, people do need to move on. Well, people could be like, oh, so we're just going to stop talking about, like 9/11. You'd be like, well, that happened a long time ago. Well, a lot of people died. I'm like, well, yeah, but eventually there's a different issue. Eventually we move on. Okay. Ah, dang. Okay. PPC now at a decisive 11 points ahead. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to pull the plug on Alex. But and it looks like the Liberals are going to start pulling ahead of the NDP more decisively. So I think we're good. I think we have figured out. I think we have decisive. Okay, I'm also about to get to in 3 hours. So maybe since there's no super chats, I'm just going to end it here at 3 hours so I can say I did it at exactly 3 hours. But we've been going for a while. Subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. I don't know why you're even watching like me doing this if you don't subscribe. That's a very weird life you're living where you're in dabble and watch this for 3 hours, but not subscribe. Like the video, check all that stuff out. Go and check out the broadcast that Brittany and Cat Canada did. The link's right there in the comments. So yeah, go check that out. And I'll talk to you guys all later. See ya.